Hey everyone, welcome to the Spring 2015 North American Challenger Series inaugural broadcast. I'm David Freak Turley. With me, as usual, the ever-agile Aiden Zyrene Moon. How's it going, man?
A little less agile today, a little less aerodynamic. Didn't shave. So
Less aerodynamic.
I'm just trying to get on your level of beard one day.
Give it about 2 months and you'll be roughly here, and then you just gotta trim. You have to like trim off
There's
the
always that
stragglers.
awkward phase in the middle too.
I know. Well, you're usually awkward, so no one's going to notice. Today, we are showcasing a completely revamped format for the Challenger Series. This spring, there are only 6 teams vying for an LCS spot. Now, let's count them. Team Fusion and Final 5. They pre-qualified by placing 3rd and 4th in the LCS expansion tournament this December. The other 4 teams, Enemy Esports, TDK, TSM Darkness, and CLG Black, are here after surviving a 3-week battle royale of the top-ranked North American Challenger ladder teams.
Yeah, and the stakes are even higher this split. These teams are taking part in a 5-week round robin where they play one opponent twice each week for a total of 10 games overall. At the end of the spring playoffs, the first place team will automatically join the LCS. That's right, they skip the promotion tournament and they get right into the LCS, replacing the last place team from the spring split.
And of course, the 2nd and 3rd place teams, they will still play the promotion tournament against this time the 9th and 8th place teams from the LCS. The 4th place team will re-qualify automatically for the Summer Challenger Series, so we'll see them again in the same spot. And meanwhile, the 5th and 6th place teams will actually join the qualifier and will have to battle against the ranked 5s teams.
Yeah, so everybody who makes it into the playoffs at least either makes it into the LCS or doesn't have to play to get into next Challenger.
Right, just focus on the qualifier ahead of you. You don't have to like mix between playing your postseason games and actually doing everything else. So if you guys want a more in-depth look at the new format and rules this season, some genius of a man wrote it all up on lolesports.com.
Yeah, under the News tab, click the story titled, Welcome to the 2015 Challenger Series, written by a very dumb man named David Freak Turley. Amazingly, there are 0 puns in that article.
You're the one who missed all the puns. Who's dumb now? Here's a look at today's action, guys. Every week, all teams will play a single game on Tuesday night, with Wednesday serving as a broadcasted rematch against that same opponent. Up first are the 2 promotion tournament competitors going at it once more as Team Fusion and Final 5 hit the rift.
Then it's Enemy Esports against TDK. And finally, we have a familiar sounding matchup as CLG Black goes up against TSM Darkness. Have to save that one for the end of the day, though.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one, though. Stay tuned and stick around for all 3 matches. Our first game, though, is just minutes away, so we're going to take some time to show you guys what happened last night when Fusion took on Final 5.
Yeah, so this is basically a recap of what happened yesterday on the off-broadcasted games here. So they went in with actually good champion selects across the board here. We saw Team Final 5 go for this composition that has multi-threats on it, with Rux playing a supportive pick Morgana role. And then you saw Fusion go with this Neon Tonsode center comp where they want to teleport and gank for him. And the Scion support from Trance, very risky.
It's really sexy having the Kalista Scion together. You can throw in a tank support, which just gives you really crazy, incredible engages. And then Lulu's there to follow up, Rengar has follow up, Irelia has follow up. You should theoretically have a good front line here.
Yeah, but they did pick it into a matchup first. Then Neon Tonsode locked in that Kalista, and they punished it with a Graves and a Janna. That's how you beat Kalista in lane, is auto-attack trade her with the passive from Graves and the shields from Janna. They were in a really good spot, and then they got Heaven Time to dive on top of that. So they were really countering what Neon Tonsode was building there, Final 5. But that's enough of champions. Like, let's get right into this game with some highlights.
So the interesting thing is, it's Neon, so they're going to use TP gank to try to get him ahead, right? They want to keep down Veritas. Problem is, look where Rengar is in the map. He's in the top left corner, so Fusion have at best a 3v3, trying to do a 3v4.
But I love this. Veritas and Rule 18 immediately go up towards the jungle, and Heaven Time is there for the counter gank. And Rux immediately starts his TP to continue this fight after they pick up Chunky Fresh off the TP.
And it was smart of Chunky Fresh to run up and right afterwards, try to pull the team away, because he wanted to spread the team out, but guess what? Veritas shows up anyway, gets the kill under the turret, and that just starts the Graves domination.
Yeah, and you can see more of the Graves domination here. By this point, he's 5-1-2, but Trance doing his best Moses impression there. Parts the team and ends up on the wrong side of the Azir turret for an easy pickup.
I'm just surprised they engaged against an Azir turret here, but it wasn't all downhill. Fusion were able to find some good fights. Final 5 really over dive here, where they're missing their fed AD carry in this battle.
Yeah, Trance once again missing an ultimate there. But look at this. Neon Tonsode sucks him in and throws him straight through the wall to continue the engage.
Yeah, Scion getting a Malphite ultimate. Who would have thought that'd be pretty strong?
Yeah, there's a reason he doesn't have that skill. Wait, he kind of does.
It's a skill shot. Less so.
Anyway, that looked like a fight that Fusion was going to start to get back into the game, but once again, Trance going really hard and missing another Scion ultimate. And he's the support Scion. He doesn't have the gold to follow this up. And then again, thrown straight through the Azir wall to continue this engage. But by this point, they have multi-threat here with Veritas' Graves and Gate just outputting so much damage in this fight. They are unchecked.
And poor Trance got pushed from the Janna ult over the Azir wall and pushed farther back by the soldiers. You can see the disengage power of Final 5 quite strong. Veritas 7-1 and 3, 7-1 and 4 now at this point. You feel for him, he's going to win you the game.
Yeah, Veritas is an extremely good player. Mechanically sound. He is #1 in Challenger right now by about 300 points. First Challenger in North America, and he's showing his mechanical prowess here, where he is the main target and just kites them around in circles on bridges.
He's the reigning Oceanic champion. This guy is the real deal. And it's going to be a player that's going to be fun to watch. This was, of course, Final 5's game, and we'll see this rematch, of course, in just a few minutes.
And Fusion came into this, and I have a quote from it. I'd be surprised with anything besides very dominant victories over Final 5 this week from one of their 4 coaches.
Wow. Ended up not being the case here. A pretty close game despite a couple of misfires early on. A couple team fights back and forth, but clearly Final 5 looked very good in this new lineup.
Yeah, Veritas being involved in 15 of the 16 kills and really carrying this game. Gate played a consistent mid laner and became that secondary threat. So even if Veritas did get focused, you have to think about the Azir. But also, Rule 18 did a good job too, having 100% kill participation on that Janna. Here's the thing though, Niantanso on Fusion is their heartbeat right now. So he's the guy that they're all looking to shut down, and he needs to step up for this next game.
And we'll see if they can do it, though. Of course, guys, to talk about these teams a bit more, this is not the expansion tournament anymore. Fusion have lost a lot of their old starters. Macnoon is gone, Glebe is gone, Nintendo X is gone. Those guys all departed since December. Huhi and Niantanso, still very good players, still on that roster, but the rest of these guys have a lot of rebuilding to do.
Yeah, Final 5 played their opponents better, right? They camped bottom lane and crushed Niantanso by focusing their attention onto Veritas and getting him going.
Mm-hmm. So far, some good teams.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good strategy because when you look at Fusion, you think Niantanso right now. You think a little bit of Huhi, but Niantanso is more of their big voice on the team. He was shut down, and Fusion needs to find a way to get him going. He really is the pulse, like I said, the heartbeat of the team, and he can carry this team. He's a really good team fighter, and his laning phase just needs a little work.
I'll see if they can fill that one up. Of course, you can't underestimate their opponents here with Veritas and Rule 18. Rule 18 was one of the unsung heroes. People were actually surprised he remained on the roster of Final 5. He had performed poorly in the expansion tournament, that Final 5 support, but 100% kill participation. His Janna only 1 death in Game 1 of this series. He's done well. We cannot talk enough about Veritas. The player you guys might not have heard about very much, but one thing I will share, he is the reigning Oceanic champion. Right? He played on Avant-Garde. I got to cast that tournament in at PAX Australia. He was a Korean foreign exchange student to Australia, has now, of course, moved to play here, but very, 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 very strong player. So this is someone that you guys all want to keep your eyes out for.
Yeah, his mechanical prowess is pretty much off the charts. You don't get #1 in North America by about 300 points. He was first challenger too.
Yeah.
He put so much time into this game, and he's come over here. He speaks the language. He speaks English very fluently, and even if he does have communication problems, Heaven Time speaks both Korean and English and can translate things for him. Mm-hmm. There are some cultural differences there, but they are meshing as best they can in such a short time. It's very impressive to see them just come out of the gate so quickly with a really good performance.
Come out of the gate so quickly.
Yes.
Good job.
All right.
We've started early.
Unintentional puns. They're the best ones.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. But Team Fusion, they were a little late, so they do lose that first ban, which when you are red side, it could hurt you a little bit here because you're going to leave something up that they're going to want to first pick right off the bat. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Make sure you play your ban phase properly. So Fusion was so worried about the Callista. They had picked it early in Game 1. They're banning it here in the second one around here. The Ahri, now by the way guys, we are on 5.2 for this week of Challenger, so the Ahri, the Azir, champions like that, much stronger than they are on the current live environment. That's why you're seeing these bans here.
Yeah, and I want to see that Lissandra being banned last. If they don't, that looks like a first pick up there for Rux. And it is a flex pick too. Gate does play that champion. And you know what? Speaking of flex picks, they could go with that too, but that would leave that up. And the prioritization is on that champion on Kassadin.
That's interesting, yeah. It's weird how the matchup does play out because I feel like Kassadin has a decent time in the matchup, being that he's good against magic damage. But they have such different styles, right? Where Lissandra can start the fights hardcore and Kassadin can't just play picks forever. So we'll have to see how those match up if we do see these champions coming through. Fusion, though, with plenty of time to make their first grabs. Kalista the only AD carry banned away, Annie the only support banned away. We've typically seen a lot of prioritization on champs like Morgana, for what it's worth.
Yeah, Morgana's making her way into top support and mid lane currently. Saw a lot of players in the play-ins, actually, in the qualifiers, play mid lane Morgana. I was watching a couple of games and it was like, wait a second, isn't this a different team? And like multiple teams were playing Morgana mid.
Yeah, we're back to Season 1 style. Top lane especially, actually. I almost feel like I see more top lane Morg than mid lane Morg. By a small margin, I agree that she is gaining popularity as a solo laner. But we'll have to see if the champion shows up at all. Fusion taking plenty of time, and they are going to grab the Lissandra after all, so as you predicted, high priority, but Janna actually being the top support here.
Yeah, they take the Caston away because that's who he's most played champion, but his second most played is Lissandra. So he's going to get one of those two champions off of this pick ban phase due to the loss of a ban. But I do like the fact that they picked up the Janna, because that's Rule 18's most played champion by a mile. He's got like 78 games on that champion, and then his most played after that is Lulu with like a third of it.
Oh man, so I mean, you expect, though, with just that being this season's games, he's probably got some decent picks to still go back to. What I'm surprised, though, is Final 5 with so many of these high-priority sort of power picks here. Right, the Rek'Sai is still up. That goes to Heaven Time. They're kind of just picking down the tier list right now, taking whatever's up.
Yeah, I mean, Veritas, he does love that Graves, right?
Yep.
Like, it's Graves Kalista for him in solo queue all day, every day to get to that top part. He's got a very impressive win record, too. He's about 70, he's got like 170 wins, 100 losses, so a differential of about 70 there,
really
which
good win rate.
is really high. Like, that is very impressive. And he's not just playing at like 2 a.m. to play people who are really tired and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Or people who may not have good internet. He's playing at peak hours against everybody. I think it's fantastic that he's up there and just trying to test himself on the solo queue ladder, but he wants to test himself competitively now too.
I think the goal is to only play during LCS games that like Wild Turtle's not there, and that's how you climb the ladder. You just dodge the LCS players. It's not how it's going. I'm just kind of talking smack. The Rengar does get picked back up from Yima, though. Played that in the first game to limited success. Sivir for Nien is interesting. I want to see what support comes in for Final 5, because early levels, if they go for Lulu here, this is one of the most bullyish duo lanes in the first 2 levels. That's going to be very hard for Nien to hold up against.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, Lulu, 1 through 3, extremely strong lane bully, one of the most powerful supports with just auto attack trading with the passive and all of her abilities combined.
Yeah. On
top of the Graves, this is something that is very difficult for Sivir to deal with in particular.
Yes. Janna, is an okay-ish fighter. Like, the way Janna works is she's just more of a surrogate support where you've got to be, like
2v1, go, take a shield.
Yeah, basically, you really do 1v2 and you rely on your AD carry being ahead and saying you can't win the trade so the shield lasts and we get the damage out. But if you're behind, Janna doesn't do all that much. Fusion now to take their time for their last lock in here. Looks like they do need a solo laner to come through here for either Chunky Fresh or Huhi. And, oh man, Huhi's definitely a thing of nightmares. It helped carry Fusion pretty far in the expansion tournament. Obviously not quite enough as we see them in Challenger this split, but no. Back to Aurelia. Okay, so Chunky Fresh once again on Aurelia and Lissandra for Huhi.
Yeah, Chunky Fresh, he was a support player for them. He filled in for Glebe during expansion until Glebe got there, and then he was on the bench as the support. Then Glebe left, he came in, and it's like, no, we're going to throw you top to replace where MacNoon left that spot open. So Chunky Fresh wants as comfortable of a champion as possible for him in that top lane, so they want to give him a matchup that he knows, something that he's played a lot, because I don't know how much time he's actually dedicated to that role. He's got a couple months under his belt.
Yeah.
But it's still, you can get thrown curveballs, especially in competitive play. Yesterday, actually, nobody was lane swapped on.
Yeah.
When I looked back at the VODs, nobody's lane swapped on, so everybody's just kind of going 1-on-1s, 2-on-2s. I want to see that first lane swap. How do people react to it?
Yeah.
And how do these challenger teams really move the jungler, allocate their resources, and if they play it correctly, because a lot can go wrong.
And I think lane swaps actually are something that should happen, I would say actually more in Challenger than the LCS. I think you can dedicate yourself as a team to say, we're going to learn lane swaps, betting on the fact that many teams won't know how to play them very well, because you expect the overall experience to be lower from this setting, right? More players are fresh out of solo queue, the chances of succeeding are very high. And we see in the LCS teams like Cloud9 dominate because they just play lane swaps better. I am actually, again, surprised that we don't see it so much in the Challenger Series so far. Also, again, you talk about the fact that Chunky Fresh, new to the top lane, been spamming those champs in solo queue, has some learning done there, but again, you can get him out of the role he's uncomfortable with. You say, here's the basic 5 things you do in a lane swap. Just, follow the jungler around, dive with us, whatever. But get out of those really scary sort of one-on-one situations where if you don't know the matchup, someone like Rux can destroy you.
Yeah, and I just keep thinking about the lane swap here. Rux, he's no stranger to LCS play. He played for TIP for the first part of the season, so he got some extra experience in there too. And when I did talk to their manager, he was saying Rux really has kind of a revitalized desire to get back into the LCS. He got a little taste this season, and he's like, it's as competitive as ever. I want to be back in it. So he's fighting for that spot, and lane swapping on Rux and Veritas and Rule 18 might be a little risky here, because Niantanso, in expansion tournament, he never wanted to lane swap stuff, or because he was like, I'm going to 2-on-2 people every time.
But I think it's a different environment here. I agree in expansion, he was probably the best AD carry in that tournament. I would give him I would put him close to cop skill level. I think he's a little bit better than Mash, and I think he was better than Prototype. Just opinion.
His team fighting is really good.
Right, his team's very good, but I think his laning and CS-wise were also very good. He could always get his farm in a 2-on-2. Here, though, I feel like the quality of teams got higher, because you got the old expansion teams, and they got better players like Veritas, but the rest of those rosters are really good as well. Otter and Body Drop, etc. There's a lot of very good duo lanes here. I think that edge is diminished for Nian specifically. I think also more so in this matchup, I think Veritas is probably the best AD carry in Challenger right now, and I would be afraid to face him in lane.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with you. I think he's, as stats stand, he's the best solo Q80 carry, which means that he knows how to carry games. He knows how to run away with early leads that are handed to him. He knows how to dominate a lane. You don't get that high without knowing that.
Right. And again, he has played in competitive, right? We saw him on Avant-Garde over in Oceania. Now, guys, the reason we're still here instead of Summoner's Rift being on your screen, we did have a pause at the beginning of the game. We'll be bringing that up in the next, I would think, about a minute or so from here. So in 60 seconds-ish, we can finally hide our faces. You guys don't have to deal with us quite as much. But for now, we're going to keep talking about this game, and we will get the game started up fairly soon for you guys.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think about the compositions, too, and what was locked in. But so I do really like the Rek'Sai, though. Yeah. Like, the Rek'Sai is a champion right now that has been doing a lot of work, not so much in NA. It hasn't been that successful over here in LCS. EU has seen a little more success with it. And people are still finding out the optimal build path for Rek'Sai. People are like, do I go immediately Sightstone? Do I get a Giant's Belt and sit on it? I think the consensus right now is you go Sightstone for the vision control.
Yeah, it seems to be that junglers tend to want to play more vision-centric, more tank-centric, and sort of play in that style. And you think about it, they've got a Kassadin and a Graves in this lineup anyway, so the damage output is going to be there, and you can rely on base damages. Thinking about the Final 5 composition a little bit, though, you've got a decent front line. Just because of the Lulu support, the wild growth, the extra durability you can add in there, you actually do give yourself really a very good ability to use Rek'Sai as your sole tank and just layer damage on top of that. Cassid and Rumble just kind of jumping into the team fight and blitzing the damage dealers down before they can kill off the somewhat squishy Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and what was the top lane pick for
Rumble?
Rumble, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a team that actually transitions, like, has different people at different stages of the game. It's like Rek'Sai early, transitioning to Rumble mid-game, and then Kassadin hopefully takes over late for them. That's what they want. And then Veritas is going to be kind of good at all stages of the game. Like, Graves is kind of the new Lucian.
Yeah, it's how people are choosing to play him, right? Yeah. People are basically picking the champion based on sort of power spikes throughout the game, more so than like what do they fulfill in a team comp, more or less. And it's like, look, his early lane's pretty good. He spikes really well on the first AD item because he's an AD caster type AD carry. I mean, a champion like Varus could do the same thing, but yeah, okay, they're picking Graves as this sort of cleanup AD carry, has a good initial start to the fight with buckshot and collateral damage. And so just because we don't have it on the screen for you guys, the team comp for Final 5, top lane Rumble, jungle Rek'Sai, mid lane Kassadin, AD carry Graves, support Lulu.
Yeah.
And I think it's well-rounded, good lanes everywhere but mid. Mid can suck it up and farm for a little while. He will be behind Zed. That's a matchup I expect Huhi to win, mid Zed against Kassadin. But overall, yeah, they can transition their team fights pretty well. And Kassadin just applying a slow is at least something you can do.
Yeah, and at least something you can do. That's what he can do. Just throw a slow on people. He'll be good.
I mean, it's a team comp where you're relying on everyone else for the damage output early game. And because we talk about champions with power troughs early on, right? Old Tristana from 5.1 and earlier, right? She does like basically nothing for 25 minutes of the game. Kassadin is a more subdued version of that, where, look, this guy can still get on the back line and cause havoc and get back out. He can put down a 90% slow on like half of a team to make Rumble do more damage, right? Because he's going to line up for the equalizer and things like that. So there is some extra power there that Kassadin can do despite power troughs. That camera zoom out does mean we're getting ourselves into the game. So the rematch between Final 5 and Fusion is just about here. And let's see what we got.
And also I want to talk about Fusion's lineup here with the Aurelia, the Rengar, the Lissandra, the Sivir, and the Janna. Right? Sivir Janna is still a really good lane, right? Like this is the type of lane that lets you pick your fights later on. And they have Mimo, and the reason they picked Mimo, because Shorter Ace, got removed from the team, and they picked up Mimo after some tryouts. This was because they were looking for somebody who complemented their mid laner, who really made him shine. And Mimo was the one who seemed to be a cut above everybody else, very slightly, to accentuate who he's strengths. So this is actually a very mid-centric team after Nian Tanso has his say.
Well, speaking of Nian Tanso, though, taking a whole bunch of early harass by Veritas and Rule 18, they decide not to trade summoners. I don't know, if your Q is back up, I'd trade my flash for Saber's heal and try to bully the lane out, but choosing to play safely here. I want to watch how these early invades go, though. Not extremely deep wards by the blue team, even though they had pushed Sivir out and they saw the invade coming from Fusion. Nothing that's going to watch too much of the opposing jungler's path. We'll see. If Mimo does start Gromp, he will get spotted. If he starts Wolves or topside, they won't know necessarily. But who doesn't start Gromp? I guess it's a silly question.
Hello.
I guess what he is doing, though, he's hiding in the fog, so they will only know at 155.
Yeah.
They actually pinged the ward. This is actually very smart by Fusion. They spotted the ward coming down. They will not reveal the jungle start until the last possible second.
That's a relatively late ward, yeah. So it'll still be out by the time they start it. Unless they really delay it. Yeah, they're going to see him there no matter what. So they do get the read on it. They do see the damage, and they know that they're going to get that 2-on-2. Okay, so 2-on-2 lane's going to happen. They can see the leash was there. But Veritas and Rule 18, I feel like, should be in a decent spot in the 2-on-2. They even have a slight push lead. You can see the minions dropping first there. And the Ricochet spam, I don't think will do quite enough to stop them. So, unfortunately, guys, we do have one more quick pause here in this game. Just got to tease you a little bit.
Hey, we got to see the lane assignment, so a little bit more was there for you guys.
Welcome back to Challenger. You missed us so much. We had to get back on screen, because what's Challenger without some pauses?
That's true. It's like Nidalee, 4 pauses per game.
Oh, no 4. Like, can we just ban Nidalee every game, and then we'll be good? No more pauses. But so that bottom lane matchup, though, I want to talk about that a little bit. And I know that you're really keen on these. Yeah. So when it's Janna Sivir, that's more of a team fighty. That's more like a utility for your team as opposed to the Graves and the Lulu, which is to dominate the lane.
It doesn't have a catchy name like Narvin, but Sivir Janna is one of the most common duo lanes I've seen in League of Legends. If you go back and watch all like the pro games for the last month and a half, there's a crap ton of Sivir Janna. So first of all, it's team win rate. If you play solo queue, like both these champions are like top 3 in their role based on solo queue, which doesn't always translate to competitive for what it's worth. I'm not saying you need to pick Talon and Fiora every single game, but for what it's worth, it's there. What it's really good about, though, is the fact that it is a duo that lets you pick your team fights. When you want to start a battle, Sivir's very, very good at that. You pile on in, whatever the fight is. If it's a 5v4, you're almost always going to win it. If you're in a bad one, Janna presses R, Sivir might as well, and you get out there. So they're very good at choosing what kind of team fight they want to do. They're not good at the team fight necessarily, but again, 5-on-4 means it's free regardless. The laning phase is actually less bad than you might think. Because they run pretty quickly, because Sivir can help Janna get out through the ulti, they're actually fairly resilient to ganks. Also, Janna Q can stop like Lee Sin Q, can stop a Vi Q, can stop a Jarvan EQ, can actually block most of the move blocks here. And then the way they get out of the laning phase itself, because their 2-on-2 fight isn't very good, is they have godly wave clear. For spending very little mana, Janna buffs up Sivir, and Sivir presses W, and the wave's gone. And you can just like shove into the turret and get away, shove in the turret and get away. It's how Tristana's used to get out of laning phase. They would rush Static Shiv, clear the wave with the E passive, and just never fight because the minions are gone. And so these guys can get out of lane. What that requires, though, is Sivir auto-attacking the minion wave at 500 range, which means she has to put herself at risk of getting attacked to push, and that's where it requires good skill by the Graves and Lulu to push her back out.
You still have to be able to pop that shield, though, to actually get to her HP bar while she's trying to shove. And we saw it there. They're trying to rush those waves down on both sides so that nobody gets that advantage. So it's not going to be one of those, all right, let's try and make sure that the wave is prepped for the 3-minute gank, because both the junglers start on the bottom side. You aren't going to get jungle attention unless they come straight down from level 2 until about the 4.5-minute mark.
Yeah, what you are seeing, though, is the fact that, you know, Buckshot does decent damage, and the level 2 will come out first by Final 5. It's 1 minion away now for them. And look at that, immediately jumps on in, one attack onto the Janna, and back they go.
Mimo is actually in the jungle in the river. He's getting the scuttle to make sure that his bottom lane is covered.
Very smart here, clears it out, gets himself at 3 ferocity. learned Q and W so far, so no Bulla Ganks looking here. But yeah, Gromp to blue buff to the Scuttle Crab. Interesting pattern. Then goes back to Wolves.
Yeah, it means he's going to be a little behind in levels and experience overall because the Scuttler doesn't give you that much experience compared to a camp. It gives you some gold, but you usually want to kill it once you have your jungle item to just enhance that gold by a flat amount.
65 at this stage of the game instead of, I guess it would be 80 if you had upgraded by now. But it will let him recall off of just only 3 quote-unquote camps here, if the 4 if you count the Scuttler. You can see the bottom lane trade. Look how much damage gets done there. Nina's out of mana. Veritas pops the heal. There's nothing to be done to him, really. I'm surprised he flashed, but was afraid of the Silver damage output.
Yeah, didn't want to get hit by that last Howling Gale, and both flashes were still up, so if he didn't flash and he still got hit by that, he wouldn't have time to react to Ni and Tanso running up.
All right, so a 1 Summoner spell lead now to the Fusion bottom lane.
But at the same time, his HP, they're both popping their potions right now. Ni and Tanso is almost in the same position that Veritas is, actually a little bit lower.
And the thing is, Rule 18 can actually do things with his mana bar. He can actually harass there on Lulu and push Nian down. So despite that, you know, okay, they're going to go for the quick recall. Yep. Second Doran's Blade and a Ruby Crystal will be the purchases for Final 5. They got the push, and with Nian having no mana, they don't push fast.
Yeah, they can't punish this and shove it straight to the turret immediately. They'll get some creeps crashing against it.
Yeah.
But they're not going to lose too many on the side of Final 5. And they'll come back with more combat stats and possibly shove it in even faster.
And I think this is the... I don't know if it's this or the next wave that's the cannon wave. If it is the cannon wave, it means even less minions get killed because the cannon takes enough time to go down that you usually return to your lane. Now, the mid lane matchup I do want to watch because Gate had first picked blind the Kassadin to deny it from Huhi. Oh yeah, sorry, I thought it was Zed in the matchup. Right, they went for Aurelia at the end. I feel silly that I talked about Zed being here. Gate should be able to farm reasonably here.
Oh, Mimo didn't get seen. Just walks right around the minion wave, right out of vision.
Interesting.
But like I said, Fusion likes to play towards their mid lane, and oh, they see Mimo there though.
Oh wow, he knocked up, so like I don't think the Q even landed necessarily. Heaven Time though forced to run away. Gate low on health and mana, and Trance already being there in the jungle means Heaven Time has to run away.
Yeah, there's a really interesting mechanic with the way that you unburrow. If you right-click somebody and they get an auto-attack range, you will automatically unburrow. So if somebody like a Katarina, you're chasing a Katarina and you know she's going to shumpo you, you just right-click her, and as soon as she shumpos you, you will pop up and knock her up. Almost instantaneously, they'll be like, oh my god, the mechanics!
Yeah.
But all you did was buffer the skill.
And it's something that Devil's a big fan of is, you know, layering things like Condemn against a buffer and...
as soon as they get in range.
Yep. It'll just go off for them. So you can see Rux actually is down a little bit in minions here. Chunky Fresh, though he's losing some of his health bar, is actually doing a pretty darn good job in this lane. So for everyone wondering if Chunky Fresh can hack it in the top lane, so far the answer is yes.
Yeah, and they last picked this Aurelia for him so that he's comfortable in that lane so that he has something that he knows how to perform on. And he played it yesterday, not to great success off of a bad TP bottom. But yeah, I think that's going to be more of the same this game. I think the action's going to happen in this bottom lane consistently. This is where both teams are trying to focus their resources.
I gotta say, I am very impressed by Fusion's ability to 2-on-2 this, though. As a matchup I would have thought would well, but hold on, Mimo getting attacked pretty hard by Heaven Time. A level advantage here, but he has an empowered W. He chooses it for the E instead. He bolas the guy. Out they go. Now the ulti pop by Huhi. Gate is not 6 yet. He's going to ignite, try to make the trade. The magic resist shield. Oh, Huhi flashes in for the auto attack. Doesn't do enough damage. He's going down. Greeds for the kill. Miscalculates, and Gate gets first blood.
Gate, that's why you have potions running when you go in for a fight. The auto attack was not enough to finish him off from Huhi, and he ends up with that kill. This is really bad for Fusion because Kassadin thrives off of kills early on to get him through that power trough you were talking about.
Yeah, he's not supposed to get the kill here. Look at this. Heaven Time's going to help shove the wave out to make sure Gate can recall without missing any more minions than he could help. And wow, that's going to be so massive. Gate is just incredibly well set up to win this game. But keep in mind, Fusion, despite giving up the 1v1 first blood, are actually holding equal in gold. So their farm is going incredibly well in the bottom lane as well as the top lane. Ni and Tanso and Trance actually crushing this dual lane against at least my expectation.
Yeah, they keep getting the good recall here and the bad recall out of Veritas. They're shoving the wave up, they're chunking him out a little bit, but they're the ones who are staying in lane slightly longer. So Veritas backs, they shove a wave to his turret, and he just misses out.
And it means that the recalls, even though like Veritas will get this wave and like equalize the CS in air quotes, the fact is, Nian got to recall on 50 CS, meaning he got better items for his recall.
Yeah, and he also keeps backing on cannon minion waves. And like you said, Every third wave is a cannon minion wave, and that's when you want to back, because the cannon minion takes longer to take down. There's more effective HP inside of the minion wave, or just HP in general.
And it can help sort of make a push mean a bit less for your opposition if you can time that. Now, what happens?
He needs as much help as possible. He was up in CS until that point. He's still up, but that kill going over to Cassidy gets him through that phase, and he actually didn't go with the Catalyst. He goes for the blasting one just to keep pressure onto Huhi and increase that shield that he has.
That's a bit greedy because the sustain could be useful, but I guess he's relying on flash charges and expecting that Huhi can't deal much damage to him anymore, and if he's right about the flash charges, then okay.
They both bought flasks, though, so they're kind of trying to out-sustain each other, and he's going for the just throw my Q out, throw my null sphere, and hopefully soak up a Q, so I wasted some of Huhi's mana. Right, and then just play that game for a bit.
Well, Huhi's got plenty of mana to spare, though. His blue buff went onto him. Gate's going to do the same thing. Chooses to save his Rift Walk, just wait for the Q cooldown, pick that thing up. And right now, mid going to remain a farm fest, but Huhi having the push lead does mean that he can kind of dictate what Gate is up to. Mimo, you can see he wants to gank this lane. Once the lane resets,
yeah, he's 6'2", so as soon as Gate goes aggressive, he can capitalize on it. It is that first rank of Rift Walk, so it is really actually got a decent cooldown on it.
One thing to watch, though, is Gate actually push the wave as slowly as possible to try to get it back towards his turret. You can see Rengar looks to the gank, but there's no way it's going to work. Yeah, Gate had enough room to work with.
Yeah, Gate just has to Rift Walk backwards. You have to bait the Rift Walk out in a forward offensive manner and then turn it around with a Frozen Tomb. You can't just think that the player is going to Rift Walk into Huhi immediately when you see Huhi go forward.
There's no reason to. There's no vision on the enemy jungle. We haven't seen anything in a while. In fact, there are literally 0 wards mid lane for Gate here. It'd be silly to push forward.
Are there any wards on the map for Final 5 in general? I don't think so. There might just be one.
There is a Sightstone for Lulu, so they've got to be a couple wards somewhere. There's one in the Dragon Pit now.
They're in their lane.
Yeah.
Dragon Pit and then the lane brush. They think that Mimo's going to come from lane ganks into bot lane. And that's what you would think, right? Like, this is, you played these guys yesterday and bot lane had a lot of focus on it. You need to cover this bottom lane for yourself.
Well, so far they're being covered by boomerangs right now. Nian Tanso making it cold in there. An 11 CS lead, the pickaxe coming in first as well. Just Final 5 having a really horrible time in this duo lane. That said, though, the recall timings allowed them to have a Sightstone of their support where there was not one for Trance. And the ward coverage has kept them safe from Rengar at the very least.
Mimo, he hasn't been able to get much done on this map. It was just that solo kill in the mid lane for Gate off of a mistake. So now, he's going to go for the Dragon.
Well, with the Raptor buff, he knows that there is a ward in the pit. Rek'Sai, farm alarm comes off, says, hey, I'm gonna take a dragon.
It's not a farm alarm. It's a mating call. He's looking for him.
Wow.
Not gonna go in there.
That's one way to put it. He loses half his health bar, though, to Gate, just putting out the damage. The Claw of Doom only just kills minions. Chunky Fresh went into aggress onto Rux, a player who has been fairly impressive so far for Fusion. Still up 14 minions in this lane. I would not have expected that against a veteran such as Rux, but...
Yeah, and you leave this Aurelia alone, she hits those item spikes, right? The power trough for Aurelia is kind of mild early on, but then she just spikes so quickly, and it's just like, whoa, I didn't know that Aurelia was so fed, and she doesn't have any kills. She just has CS.
All right, well, Guts for Final 5. Teleports are up for both top lanes, but they have grouped for the Dragon. Fusion milling about. Maybe they will stop. Heaven Time looks for the engage. Gets a two-man knockup. In come the TPs. Trance losing a lot of his health, and down goes Rek'Sai, though. Final 5 now to fight a 4v5. Veritas forced to run away. Great Rumble ulti is going to buy a lot of time for the team. Rule 18 stuck against the wall will also go down. Fusion picking up a lot of kills this fight. 3 kills unanswered.
There's still a turret there.
He wants the execute. No, gives the kill to Aurelia. Now Gate, nowhere to go. That's a kill.
Take his last breath there.
That's a 5 for nothing.
Yep.
Fusion has crushed that battle. They're going to get the Dragon. Absolutely beautiful fight.
The TPs came in. They already had the Dragon on them, and then they trailed off to the right side and just got collapsed on. They couldn't get to Nian Tanso. It was a really good disengage by Trance. I really like that protection there. Look at that. Fusion. Slap their logo on the screen, because that's what it's all about. They can't get to Nian Tanso. Heaven Time flashes to get to him, but then they're on Veritas at that point, and there's nothing they can do about that. Veritas has to flash over the wall, and he starts backing for the remainder of the fight. He's effective DPS drops to 0, and it's all about Rux with the equalizer, but it's still not enough at that point.
It absolutely wasn't. So, unfortunate risk there by Final 5. They tried to circumvent the Aurelia Triforce Power Spike, use the Rumble with the Haunting guys already done, figured, hey, it's going to be a lot of damage, but just couldn't do nearly enough for these guys. Fusion now looking pretty incredible.
Yeah.
They've got ward control.
They had a really good bottom lane setup here. Niantanso is crushing this lane by 20 CS. He has a BF sword, pickaxe, and all the components for his Infinity Edge against a Brutalizer pickaxe. He's in a really good spot.
Everytime's got to be afraid, though. Pops ulti into his own jungle, but can he really even fight in this? It does force Fusion back, but... And so far, these guys looking like the team people expected them to be back in the expansion tournament in the first place. This was expected to be like the team that was sure to make it into the LCS. And they'd lost their very first game of this split so far, but maybe this is what the team's supposed to look like here in Game 2.
Yeah, they saw Mimo walk up, and there's nothing you can get from that. But yeah, this is looking more like the team that people were expecting to come out. They're expecting like MacNoon to crush top lane, and then it was like Mian is going to be amazing. He did have great team fighting, but now he's worked on his laning, because that's where he identified his weakest point was. He's been focusing on that. And holding up against Veritas and actually having a really big advantage over him is a great start.
It absolutely is. I can't believe they actually won lane with Coin Janna.
Yeah,
that's like the weakest support in
really
the game.
Hard.
Coin Janna does not fight, but
I mean, they kept trading, right? They kept trading, and then he just sits there and he's like, okay, I'm getting some gold.
Nien just managed to land very good boomerangs, really good ricochets, and he was in a good spot. Mimo just continually trying to control the Scuttle Crab. No, right now he's getting 5 stacks on Ferocity. He's outside of ward vision.
Yep, they did not see him go in there. He has his ultimate available. They need to bait the Rift Walks, though, before they walk up. There's his pink ward.
Is he afraid of Gate? Of course, there's not a lot of deep wards. He actually doesn't know.
He doesn't know if he can clear it.
Yep. Yeah, Rek'Sai could be there anytime.
He has no clue. Rule 18, actually. Walking around. Rule 18 is notorious for getting caught out while killing wards.
Okay, he sees there's no ward over the wall, so we can actually hide here up against this. I don't believe Mimo can see him quite. He's staying outside of vision range, and Mimo just says, you know what, let's just kill the Scuttler.
Too long. Yeah, gotta get some gold.
He just feels very confused. Like, it's heartbreaking when he's like, okay, I'm on top of a ward. They know I'm there.
They're gonna take this.
Wow, Gate looking aggressive. Trance, though, up in this mix. Nice ulti from Lulu, and Gate over the wall. So much gank setup. Rule 18 spent 40 seconds and made it nothing.
The Wild Growth gave him enough time during the knockup on Mimo to stop him from using his Bola strike to lock him up. It just went really wide because it gave him enough time to Rift Walk.
Beautiful stuff then. Final 5 making a couple of good plays here. They are sitting on a 2,500 gold deficit. Gate is going to greed for this ward kill. And thankfully Rift Walks just in time to not get hit with the empowered Bola that would have canceled or prevented the ability of being cast.
Really good job, though, by Niantanso. While all that was going on, he just shoves out bottom wave, has his Infinity Edge, compared to the parts of basically 2 different items.
Yeah, it's like kind of early Youmu's, but kind of not. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's a crit.
That's why Infinity Edge is good, guys.
Yeah.
Wow, that's 3 crits in a row. That's unlikely.
And nope. There we go. And yep.
1,500 gold lead. Yeah, there's a lot of individual power here. Mid lane is close. Every other lane, I would say, actually, I take it back, Heaventime's also farming really well. Mimo's wasting a lot of time from Fusion, but the carry lanes are all farming quite nicely.
Did you see that TSM CLG comms where Locodoco is telling the bottom lane, don't trade when you're behind?
Yeah.
This is the situation for Final 5. You don't want to trade at this point in the game.
Chunky Fresh does, though. He's a couple hits away from killing Rux. Wow, he needed 1 more ulti charge. Heaventime, there's no way you can win this battle. You've got just a warrior and chance. So, Chunky Fresh essentially winning a 1v2.
Yes, he chunked out Rux to the point where he's a non-factor. Chunky Fresh is 2 levels up over Rux at this point. He has his rank 2 ultimate, was just pumping out that damage. Well, speaking of rank 2 ultimates right there, in this mid lane, Gate is just trying to trade over and over again, and it's working for him at the moment. And if they can leverage this pressure middle, they can start invading the jungle, and that could be Final 5's way back in. But this bottom wave, this bottom lane, has a lot of damage dealt to it here. CS is much lower. The kills are on Niantanso. This is what Fusion wants when you walk into a game. If you're like, let's get Niantanso fed, then they're doing it.
All right, well, so far so good then. The only lane that can pressure for Final 5 is that mid lane. Fusion holding the 2 outside lanes, and Now you got to see what these teams can do with advantage
The
or deficits. Veritas are getting really hit up. Their exhaust force to be used. Niantanso, the Q, the second half will miss. Oh, big burst coming out, but Summoner Heal and ulti pop keep him safe. Mimo is coming in, and the teleport from Aurelia misses the root, but Rule 18 goes down anyway. Ulted Heaven Time and not himself. Then he goes down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Mimo, who jumped in, threw out a bola, missed, doesn't care. Does enough damage to take out Rule 18. That rewards them with the turret and even more pressure on this map. Fusion are not letting the early game get away from them like they did yesterday.
The Dragons up in 6 seconds, meaning a very clean and quick grab for Fusion if they want it. First, they clear away some Rek'Sai tunnels. They take the Scuttler as well. Just grab the side objectives, and then, okay, this Dragon pretty much uncontestable. And after this, now what can they do? Niantanso out of mana, meaning maybe they recall, maybe they take more objectives.
Up top, though, who he had to rotate here to deal with Rux, he would have gotten that turret. So it was good by Rux to notice that he doesn't have to TP to that already lost fight. He can stay in his top lane and shove it.
At the same time, I gotta say, compliments to Fusion for recognizing that there was no contest for the Dragon. They can let their mid laner leave the Dragon area. There was no way who he could have helped the fight if Rux did TP, but they knew there was no contest by Final 5, and they sent someone away from the Dragon pit. So, smart allocation of resources. They keep their outer turret alive because of all this. He's setting a trap for Rux. Ulti comes in. Q, W, another Q. Equalizer does come out, though. Heaven Time's here. He dodges away from some of it, gets the first kill, and in comes Nian in trance. The shield comes out after a flash. The exhaust there as well. Heaven Time has nowhere to go. Nice Q from Nian, and there's the cleanup.
Nian is taking over this game. They rotate their bottom lane to the top to get him to push down turrets and just give them an even larger gold advantage. So Fusion, they're like, we're done with this bottom lane. We've already crushed it. It's time to go top and get more income.
Well, I'm surprised they chose top lane over mid, being that Kassadin...
Mid's really low, too.
Mid, yeah.
They could take mid at any time.
Maybe it comes next, but Mimo is forced to defend 1v3 in the mid lane. They're sending Lissandra over, but she's not going to be here just yet.
Nobody's dealing with Nian.
Oh man, they're up to top tier 2 and no one is there. You're absolutely right. They expected defense and they went around to ward and look at blue buff. They could have like all in that turret and gotten it to half.
Yep, they decided to just get the blue buff for their troubles. Maybe rotate towards the mid lane because it is below half HP. That mid lane is really close to falling.
Yeah, but just look at the expected rotates. Like, I want to point out all these things that happened. Nian trinketed with his blue trinket. The brushes by Baron, again, expecting Final 5 to show. Still, no one tried to defend against his buff steals, his pushes, or anything. Gate, though, does get rooted, has to flash away from Nian's Q, but this is still likely to be a dead outer turret. The rest of Final 5 are coming, so they're nearby. Mimo's going for the flank. He's going to flash on a Gate. Down goes Kassadin, 1-0. Now, can you really fight much more than this? Another root does land. Heaven Time losing a lot of health. But a nice Glitter Lance will slow them down. But Fusion, after getting up first blood, get 9 kills in a row.
They can go bottom right now. This turret already has minions clashing against it, and they have the damage output to take this very quickly.
Geez, Chunky Fresh was bot lane the whole time, shoving the wave on in. This is such a clean game by Fusion, that one mid lane kill notwithstanding. And they just turned a team fight into like 6 turrets in a row, and that is a little bit of hyperbole.
But look at that. Rux is going mid lane right now. Heaven Time is mid lane. They're just going to give up this inhibitor turret.
No one is even defending these pushes from Fusion. They are given everything. 21 minutes in, they're hitting an inhibitor.
Look at that, the fight's going to start out here. Rux comes in.
We're going to see what they can do. Nian has already flashed out, though, and some damage does come through. The burst of this Final 5 comp is quite a lot. Fusion did slightly overstay, and that turret kill turns into bait as 2 members of Fusion die. Ignite is on Nian. Good tornado, but one more Rift Walk will be the kill, and now Trance forced to run out. Looks like he will be safe for that, but 3 kills picked up on the backside by Final 5.
2 of them go over to Veritas. He's not back in the game completely yet because he's still missing out on a very key item for AD carries, but he's getting his feet off the ground slightly. And Final 5, they do have avenues back into this game if Fusion keeps doing things like this, but they can't give up turrets like that over and over again. Look at this, Rux comes in and he just deals a massive amount of damage, but Veritas, this is the fights that Final 5 were having yesterday where Veritas is left unchecked. Nobody is dealing damage to him, and then Gate is that secondary threat that comes through the fight and cleans up.
Yeah, very smart plays with these guys. Good usage of AoE. A lot of Fusion had grouped up there and got Flame Spittered and Buckshot into submission. So, glimmers of hope for Final 5. They are down 6,000 gold 22 minutes in, though, which is a very steep deficit, but miracles, of course, can always happen. Top lane, outer turret goes down finally to
a miracle.
Wave. So some things are happening. Some growth is here for Final 5, but it's going to take a lot more than what's happening right now to get them back in. Fusion allocating the resources once again. Red buff onto Nian. clear some more of the jungle, make sure all of the gold streams are being tapped as much as possible, and then go in for a push afterwards.
So here's the part of the game where Fusion need to check their shot calling. How do you get these turrets from Final 5?
Yeah.
Because skirmishing these guys in the jungle is beneficial actually for both teams. Both teams kind of want that jungle skirmish and chase down.
That's true. With the gold lead, you expect mostly skirmishes to go Fusion's way. What I will point out, though, is there is no deep vision for Fusion because all those turret kills, all that movement throughout the map was on the same recall, meaning Sightstone ran out of charges, and there was no ability to put more wards down. There was a single deep ward here. They are re-invading for the blue buff in the top side of the map, and for this top turret that actually no one from Final 5 right now is defending. But this is the only bastion of power these guys have.
Veritas is the only person answering on this turret. There are 4 people off on the side.
He jumps on in, and it forces immediately Veritas to retreat. He ults for the minion wave, but who even cares? Nothing goes down. There's top
They're
lane.
wrapping around. Heaven Time.
Wants something to do, but he's
He
very alone. The team is nearby. Okay, hold on. We forced to run. E is down. Equalizer comes off, but the re-engage, the ulti, Mimo the front lines, but a lot of CC might keep him alive. Trance got to be careful. Puts the ulti on, but so much damage coming through. Mimo still running out. Gate wants his kill, gets one. Now he forced to run away. The flame spitter from Rux does start turning this fight around. 2 for 2 so far. Chunky Fresh trying to be the carry his team needs, but Veritas might answer back onto him. Niantanzo says hello to Veritas, jumps over the wall, but Chunky Fresh answers him back. Triple kill for the Aurelia. Now Gate forced to run. Can he do so? Another stun comes across, and that will be the ace for Fusion.
That team fight looked like it was going terribly for Fusion, and then it gets flipped around because Veritas is not in it for a very long time, chasing Niantanzo and Trance out, but they just wrap around and re-engage the fight because Chunky was just keeping them busy.
Power gold leads.
Yeah, but watch Veritas' damage output. He's off on the, he's down below this fight, and he walks up, and then he chases them off to the left side, and they start running away. They disengage him, and he's trying to get back in. And he chases the left side of the fight instead of the right. So he actually doesn't get anything done here.
Oh, wow.
And then, meanwhile, they're cleaning up here. Chunky Fresh takes out Rux. If Veritas had, instead of chasing, had immediately pulled off, he would have been able to take out Chunky Fresh. And then they would have been able to turn this.
Bit agreed by Veritas. Unfortunate play there, and it does give Fusion's Chunky Fresh the time to deal damage. And right off the respawn, Fusion wants this blue up. The steal attempt comes in. Nice smite. Heaven Time does flash up the wall, but guess what? Lissandra presses R to get the kill back. Now 4v5. Fusion has some time to make plays.
Good job by Huhi there to throw his Glacial Path over the wall because he knew that's where Heaven Time's exit route was. So he covered his options.
Very smart things, and the quick ult to make sure he couldn't get out any farther as well. But again, 5v4, the Dragon does give 1 to Final 5 here. They get the attack damage and AP buff. But mid lane, under fire, the whole team is here. The Janus shielded Sivir eviscerates turrets with a high attack speed build of Berserker's Greaves and the Phantom Dancer. Those things die quickly. Chunky Fresh now also to take away more of the jungle. That said, he is on top of a ward while doing this. Final 5 can collapse.
Chunky Fresh is really tanky at this point, though, for the damage output. Final 5, you see Veritas' item build. He doesn't have a lot of crit chance, doesn't have the crit enhancement either. Chunky Fresh.
Oh, ults it.
Hey, he's got to ult it to take it.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Get away from Aurelia. She's a pretty big nightmare with that.
If she would have queued that, it's definitely over 200 damage.
It's over 200!
Ah! What? 200?
On repeat, over and over. Oh, man.
But, so these guys on Fusion's side right now are really relying on Niantanzo, and it's working.
Yes.
He's got the highest CS in the game, the highest kill participation on his team, and he's going for a Bloodthirster because he doesn't care about the armor yet. He's just wanting that Boomerang Blade damage to chunk out Veritas from the fight and to shut down Gate.
And that'll be the goal. Gate, the only guy really still doing all that well on the Final 5 lineup. And if he's allowed to run free, he can do really scary things to the back line of Fusion. But so far, they've done a pretty good job of playing around that. The gold lead sits at over 9,000 right now. Fusion look towards the mid lane. Now, keep in mind, bottom inhibitor is open. If they group bot, they just get to push the inhibitor down and likely make that pressure that sets up Baron. Final 5 look for a brush gate, or brush gank, rather.
Gate was the one looking for it, though.
Yeah, so, you know, it worked in the end. But you see really heavy hesitation. Fusion wanting to instead get Baron control right away. Okay, they pushed out mid. Cool, that means we can ward up Baron. So very obvious what their objective is going to be right now, setting up a Baron bait or a Baron rush. You can see that was through Trance's shield, by the way. That is the damage output that Gate has right now. It's a decent chunk of someone's health.
They don't have the ward coverage for this. Final 5 pinging bottom lane. Look at that. The Scuddler's up. They see it. They know it. Fusion are obviously baiting this or trying to do it faster than they can react. They want the fight. They want to force it.
He wants to zone them out. Claws on in. Ult's Heaven time. And then here comes the battle. They're staying for Baron. It's going to be killed by Chunky Fresh of all people, actually. But that is Baron to Fusion.
This is not a good fight
in
for
a
Fusion.
pretty bad spot. It's going to be 2-0 so far. Now, who's going to get the cleanup? In comes Chunky Fresh. Does trade one back. And Nian gets help from Mimo. They will kill off Rux. And Heaven time doesn't have the damage. Gate died, which meant nothing else could happen. It's a 3v2 now.
Veritas is not showing up to these fights. He's getting zoned out of them and pretty much taking poor pathing. He's not able to get onto the carries. He's not able to be part of his middle line. And everybody on Final 5 are seeming a little jumbled here. They're diving after Nian Tanso, and he's just killing them while walking backwards because of his damage output.
You just can't reliably jump in onto a Janna. I mean, you would think these champions are actually pretty good at dealing with Janna. You've got Rumble, Equalizer, Cassidy can get back in after getting knocked out. But the damage clearly is not there.
Yeah, look at Veritas. He's so far away from this fight. They had to start it because the Baron was just going to go down no matter what. And he's still walking up at this point. And Final 5 continue to press this. They get Huhi, and they don't disengage it. They're immediately like, chase down Nian Tanso, we can't reach him. And then Mimo jumps over the wall. He was pretty much dead if they had gone into the pit instead of chasing Nian. And now Veritas is finally there.
Yeah, really strange situations here. Just not a full team fight for Final 5, and that is a very large issue.
It was kind of a do-or-dive situation, though.
Yeah.
You have to go in to stop the Baron, or at least contest it. They pick up people, but the fact they continued the fight onward instead of kiting towards Veritas, because if Fusion wanted to continue the fight, they would have to chase if they were running away on Final 5 side.
I mean, they one-shot the Janna.
Yeah.
At that point, reflect with your AD carry and go for it again, and hope that you have enough CC to keep the fight going. But
it was good by Fusion
yes,
to go for the Baron and put them in that situation, because Veritas was back, right? He does have his Infinity Edge completed, and that's an item he sorely was needed 10 minutes ago.
that's true. At least he's starting on Last Whisper, so he's sacrificing lifesteal for more damage, needing that output to be able to deal with champions like this Fed Aurelia. But Fusion with Baron buff on 3 members, ready to siege up against the turretless inhibitor in the bot lane. I can't see a successful defense here without a severe outplay.
Yep, Chunky Fresh has a lot of tankiness in his tank right now. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of tankiness in the tank. Nian Tanso, he's got a lot of damage in that tank too. So he's just walking up. He's just going to get handed an inhibitor here when he wants to take it.
Notice how safe they're playing, relying on the cannon to kill it. Nian has no reason to auto-attack this inhibitor anymore. Chunky Fresh can't because he's a tank. And down goes bot and hip. Smart of Final 5 to not contest. But Fusion now about 31 minutes in should be looking to close this out. You don't want to give the chance for Cassidy to hard carry. He's got 4 kills. He's got some decent items. Void Staff soon. Don't give Final 5 the chance of turning this game around.
Exactly. If you stall it out to the late game, this is a composition that can do some good things with the Cassidy. But Fusion, they still have the insurance of a really tanky Aurelia. Nobody's going to get that tanky on Final 5's side or be that much of a threat to your back line. Mimo, he has the option of going full tank or building a little bit more damage to deal with the backliners. But I think that they're just focusing on keeping Nian Tanso safe by having multi-threats that dive. Who he's going to be in the backline, lots of vulnerability on him and damage output. And Chunky Fresh is just this huge threat that he will get to your backline because you don't have ways to really disengage him.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about playing bruisers into double AP is they typically don't want to try to burst out the tank with a Spirit Visage and Merc Treads. So you get kind of impunity to deal with the enemy AD carry, who's honestly still not well equipped to deal with him. So Chunky Fresh, even though he's not being protected by his team necessarily, is protected by the fact that no one really wants to kill him first.
Nope. You want to go for Nian Tanso. You want to get rid of this 6, 1, and 10 head Sivir. But when you're in that situation, you kind of have to go through the front line. And it is a 500 range AD carry, right? That is the fallback, or I guess the downfall of Sivir.
Downside, yeah.
Downside is that her range is very low. So when you're that far up, 2 auto attack people,
reach.
You are in reach. Exactly.
Which means Veritas with the soon-to-be-completed Last Whisper, and plus this Yomu's means he can burst on Sivir pretty hard. Like, there is the ability to hit Nian here. The question is it enough damage? Mikhail's, shields, lockout as well here, by the way, for Mimo. There's a lot of ways to keep Nian afloat here. in the team fight. And so far, only one death. So far, so good.
Fusion do have a lot going for them, though. They had that Baron buff from before, so they have that extra gold. Up 11,000, and they have super minions pushing this bottom wave. Those minions are going to clash against the turret very shortly.
It's a giant wave, too.
Veritas wants to answer, but he's torn right now. You can see that.
They clear this wave, then they go for it.
Their wave clear is extremely poor, too. Right? It's pretty much Rux.
But now they'll get it. The duo wave is going to be held, and actually Fusion didn't let Huhi or Chunky Fresh push down mid to create a second wave of pressure, which means Final 5 could just sit 4 guys on this lane, use Lulu and Graves to wave clear, and honestly remain safe. The bot lane inhibitor turret, or Nexus turret I should say, should stay alive. The wave should be done right about now, and Veritas can rejoin for this top wave.
There goes Huhi.
Oh, the flash engage. Veritas is in range, so the engage happens. Huhi. Zonia's just in time. Heaven time forced to run away, though, and a great equalizer. The 3 kills picked up. This dive not working too well. Nien and Chunky Fresh alone inside the base. Can they 2v4? The Hex comes in. The damage output, the crit, and this dive, oh my god, did it fail.
That's what Veritas can do when you leave him alone. They couldn't reach him. This is a composition that wants to dive you, but also pick their fight, and they picked the wrong one.
Why would you dive with a team like this? Such a very awkward way to give an advantage back into Final 5. The equalizer was so immaculate.
Big thing is Rule 18 gets the polymorph on Huhi here. Comes in, boom, polymorph. Look at all this damage that comes across on him. And he almost drops. He's forced to Zonia's, and then Chunky Fresh and Nien Tonso are off on the left. So far away from Veritas, who gets the wild growth. The exhaust comes out, so Nien Tonso has to run away, and he's running towards Chunky Fresh, which isn't safety anymore. Rule 18 really on top of those polymorphs, hitting the right target at the right moment that entire fight. 5 for 1. And Final 5 are back in this.
That's what we talked about 3 minutes ago. You don't want to give the chance for Final 5 to catch up. They, to be fair, are still down 7,500 gold. But you guys have looked at your match histories before. You get in those games and you're like, yeah, the gold bleed was like 12K, and then it goes all the way down and the blue team wins suddenly. Fusion cannot let this happen to themselves. Now they still, again, hold very big leads. 4-item 80 carry means Nien Tonso can single-handedly destroy all of Final 5. If Fusion were all tanks plus Nien, they'd probably still win team fights. So F5 do have to be scary.
Yeah, that's very true. But I think Rule 18 in the bottom lane just came up really big there. Rule 18 had a very terrible KDA back in the expansion tournament, and when members of Final 5 were getting replaced, the community was really questioning why Rule 18 wasn't replaced. He brings a lot to this team in terms of spirit and personality. He's the one who's facilitating it, but look at this.
On a ward, stunned, rooted, forced to Zonia's right in front of Lysandra. Lulu gets him out of the fight for now. Heaven Time joins the battle. Equalizer on everyone. Graves ult as well. It's a whole bunch of damage, but guess what? Fusion are ahead, and they survived the early encounter. In the back line, Rumble goes down 3 for 0 so far. I can't see Final 5 turning it back around, and that means Baron and then likely an inhibitor.
That was a trickle-in fight there, and Gate was standing on a ward, immediately engaged on. And that's a big mistake that could cost you the game this far in.
Fusion, wow, they took that fight at the same time a giant wave was pushing down the bot lane. These guys actually could have potentially pushed instead, but they choose Baron, and they will, looks like, shove a wave and quickly recall and re-siege, using that team fight win just as an extra Baron buff to make this short-range team kill a base.
Yeah, the Baron is guaranteed. Their base was not entirely guaranteed, so the risk was still there, so they took the one with less risk.
True that. And as long as they don't do any of those dumb dives anymore, Fusion should still be able to close this game out.
But like I was saying, Rule 18, he was really on top of it in that previous fight. And when they're behind, they kind of look to him for morale.
Yeah.
Right? He has a lot of intangibles outside of the game. He's the one who's like calling for people's teleport timers and being like, all right, bottom lane, what do you want to do? Jungler, what are you looking to do? Constantly talking to his team. He may not be the main shot caller, but he's definitely somebody who gets that ball rolling.
He's a facilitator, and it keeps Final 5 focused on the objectives at hand. But right now, the objective at hand is Dragon number 3 for Fusion. I want to say it's actually number 4 for them.
It's 4 for them.
Yeah, okay.
They're sitting on 3.
The display in the top left corner is wrong. They do have 3 buffs on each of their champions here.
This will be their 4th Dragon of the game for them on Fusion's side. They can't really do anything about this. Chunky Fresh just sitting in that bottom lane, making sure that it's still pushed up with his Baron buff. and Fusion have a ton going for them right now. The gold lead, the fact that they are at 4 dragons, the threat of a 5th, they have a Baron buff up. Like you said, they just have to not dive again like they did previously.
Yeah. Right now they're taking all the objectives off the map. Okay, blue buff goes away, red buff goes away, and many of the big jungle camps they can think of go away. So even if they do lose a team fight, with all the waves pushed in, Final 5 cannot gain anything if they were to win a fight. If that last catastrophic dive, by the way, nothing happened to them. They didn't lose anything.
They just got some gold and they stopped the pressure because of the inhibitor bottom. They lost it again. Now those waves, it's basically a repeat of where we were a couple minutes ago. And Fusion get another chance to not make the same mistake.
What they are doing is something a little bit smarter. Bot lane's auto-pushing. They are sending Aurelia mid this time with Baron buff, and they have really good wards to watch all of the jungle exits of Final 5, to watch for flanks, to make sure ward control stays up even if they do die. And now we're going to see the multi-pronged assault. Rux is bot lane holding a wave. Someone has to come mid lane very soon to hold this one that Aurelia is pushing in. There's the ping, the blue ping, and they're going to send Graves over to defend it. We'll see if Fusion rotates back and forth to push these waves down. They actually could have brought their AD carry in towards that side. Chunky Fresh will recall for GA and teleport back in.
He's looking for it.
Okay, maybe not just yet.
He's still looking for it.
How afraid Nian is. He's going to go in. Look at that. Just the threat of game means he gets 2 auto attacks and backs right back off.
Still have that bottom wave pushing in, and Chunky Fresh in that middle lane, causing the pressure, shoving the waves up. Final 5, they have to be absolutely perfect here with the way they handle this fight. But Fusion, they can't get too cocky either.
Of course they can. I want to see an Ohm Wrecker. That's how you make the dive happen here, is you go in without the turret helping you.
Ohm Wrecker, Banner of Command, either of those.
Actually, yeah. You have no way of, you have no long-range physical damage here on the Final 5 lineup. So a spell immune thing, actually you can see again, Niantanto loses most of his health bar. The short-range lineup, bad at sieging. They might just want to play for Dragon 5 at this point because they can see how little progress they're gaining. The Baron buff didn't gain them literally anything. No turrets were picked up over the entirety of Baron buff. Chunky Fresh, though, just with the health lead, is able to push down mid, though, because no one can stop him. The big Aurelia is the win condition here, and now another inhibitor is open.
Yeah, Chunky Fresh, level 18, much higher than everybody else on Final 5 at this point. 2 up on Rux, still. And Aurelia with that much gold. You speak about power drops, he's feeling the spike right now.
Yep. He's stayed ahead all game long, has remained a very scary damage threat. Elixir of Iron comes in to join his Guardian Angel, meaning even more tenacity for fun old Aurelia.
You basically can't CC him at all at this point.
Not really.
Because all of that stacks multiplicatively.
Now, yeah, 5.2.
Yeah. So Iron on top of his passive, on top of his Merc Treads.
Probably at like 70% tenacity at this point.
And if he's in a team fight?
Oh boy. That's what I was, yeah, I think
all
around
5 people.
that with, well, it stops at 3. But.
Yeah. CC him for 3 seconds, you're really getting him for less than a second.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Scuttler controlled. Dragon, though, still more than 2 minutes away. Baron similar here. But Dragon 5 and Baron will coincide. Fusion could use that to make the siege just a little bit better. Keep in mind, any damage dealt will trigger the true damage from Dragon 5. So like Sivir Ricochet, a Jonom Tornado, Lissandra Q, or Aurelia R will tick your opponents down and let you try to push just a little bit more. Time doing what he can to clear wards, but Fusion are going to regroup for mid again.
Lots of GAs here, though. Niantanto purchases his own. So this Fusion lineup is looking like it's a team that wants to dive you. They're looking to not be punished for dives that are not optimal. So if they dive you, they still have 2 more lives on 2 people who are trying to carry this game and take turrets.
So the fear is still there. Mid and bot inhibitors, though. Open, respawned, up for the taking. 1.5 minutes for both Dragon 5 and Baron buff for Fusion. Will they go for the base? Will they go for just the ward control and the map control until those respawn? My vote would be for the latter, but you never know. Nian doesn't even want to ricochet the waves down. You can see he's looking more for champions to harass. Trying to bait the enemy team outside the base with the minion wave there. Veritas' wave clearing. He's actually on 3 items. Goes for Ruin King over Bloodthirster as his item choice. It will do a little bit more damage auto attack wise.
Huhi sitting on the side.
Yeah, he wants the engage. I mean, if they do get the battle started, they're still up 12k. They would win an outright 5-on-5, just not inside the base with that position.
Diving turrets is not good at all.
Final 5 without the support right now. Lulu's kind of far away, but thanks to Rek'Sai, they can walk around the map.
Yeah, they're weighing their options. Baron is almost up. Dragon 5 is an option that's on the table very shortly. And all they really have to worry about is if they put themselves in a position where Final 5 have better terrain advantage, right? That they have their base turrets, that they have something else going for them. Because right now, everything's in favor of Fusion.
All right, and they're going to start Baron right off the respawn. In fact, Final 5 nowhere to be seen. They were dealing with a mid lane wave that was pushed earlier, and there was no contest for this Baron buff here. Goes down at 43 minutes to Fusion. Dragons in 10 seconds. Both these buffs will last 3 minutes long, and so you've got roughly 2.5 to do everything for Fusion. Off they go. Down to the side of this map. Final 5 will push the wave out, but does it really even matter? In fact, there's a giant wave top right now. Final 5 can maybe go for a push as payment for Dragon, or will they even try to stop Dragon 5? It's going to be too late if they want it. There's the bonus, and there's the engage. Rux comes into this fight. Gate very low off the start of it. Mimo's got to be careful too. Big ult from Graves, and Trance is low, but the Dragon buff means so much power. Veritas getting chased out by Chunky Fresh. Rux can only do so much, and the kills start coming through. 4 already. Only having time alive. Fusion should be able to easily close this game out now.
You have all the neutral objective steroids, and they're just going to power through them. 5-0 for Fusion.
Well, they've got to take down this inhibitor first, but that's going to be a surrender all the same. 44 minutes. Fusion do get vengeance, and they split the series 1-1.
Really controlled game by them. They played a completely different style than yesterday. They didn't let the bot lane get out of control. They had that advantage from CS from the get-go for Nien. And they just pushed that further and further over Veritas and all of Final 5.
Yeah, massive props to that Fusion 2-on-2. I came in saying, you know, I don't know if they really want to do that. I was wrong. That 2-on-2 was pretty freaking potent. Nien did a great job alongside Trance. Those two put up a great performance. They won themselves that game pretty hard here. 8-2-16 for Nien. Of his team's 24, he was part of 24 of his team's 27 kills. Only 2 of his team's 13 deaths. We said he had to step up in this match. The team had to do well. That happened. Trance did the same at 0-2-23. Those guys made that team comp work. I will credit them, or I will criticize them for that one dive in the top lane, but thankfully they were far enough ahead that it didn't matter.
Yeah, when you're that far ahead, you kind of get some wiggle room to make big mistakes like that.
Yeah.
That you otherwise wouldn't have the game completely flipped on you for. So at that point in the end, they're controlling everything on the map. It's kind of like, when you're a shot caller, you're like, I have so many things that I want to do, and I get to do all of them.
Yeah.
I get to siege the base, I get to take the dragon, I get to take the Baron, and you don't really have to make any calls that are risky at that point. You're kind of like, they can't contest it here, and then it's like Gate standing in a bush, and we get complete control over everything.
Yeah.
It's really just, it's a wet dream there for a shot caller.
Yeah,
You're just like, the map is mine!
The map was in the end. He got to do what he wanted. That said, though, a fully short-range team composition meant that actually sieging was very difficult. The only ways they got into the base was either off of a team fight and an ace, or off of an out-rotation, or off of Chunky Fresh as being too tanky to take down in his solo push. So the siege, I think, may be a misfire. If it was there maybe to hold pressure on the map to keep the waves pushed in, but as an actual win condition, sieging did not seem to be very good for Fusion. But that's fine. They did other things good.
Yeah, it's a very dive-heavy composition.
Yeah.
So that's what they ended up doing. It bit him in the foot one time, and then they just went back to the drawing board and played it very methodically from there.
Yeah, well, thankfully, Dragon 5 was enough for them. And now joining us to talk about that victory on the Rift is Nien Tonto himself from Team Fusion. Nien, congrats on the victory tonight.
If he's there.
Thanks,
if
Freak.
He's there.
All right.
We're told he was
a good
available
game,
for us
especially
here.
from
Nien,
yesterday.
can you hear me?
Much improvement.
What is he just in the airwaves?
Nien?
Hello?
No.
I can't hear him.
Unfortunately, we can't hear him. Apparently, he is part of the call, but we have to apparently sort that out for ourselves. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to conduct the interview with a man I can't hear.
I mean, we could pretend we hear. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, I really like playing Saver. Nien, I'm going to try it one more time. Oh, now we go. Okay, Nien, we can hear you in our headphones.
Nice.
How you doing, man?
Good. How about you?
Pretty happy we got to cast a really fun game. I hear you crush faces as Sivir.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was definitely not bad. Much big improvement from yesterday.
I have to ask you, so I didn't think that 2-on-2 was supposed to go in your favor. I thought Graves Lulu was a really strong 2-on-2, but you crushed that lane. Why?
I think Silver is actually a really solid option against Graves, especially when you have Janna, because if you just walk up with the Janna shield and just blow all your spells, like the only thing he can really do is buckshot. And if you just spell shield his buckshot, you win the trade like really hard. And honestly, we could have won the lane a lot harder, but I played a bit too passive, I think, early game, but it still worked out really well.
Was that because things went pretty wrong yesterday during the laning phase for you, that you wanted to play passive today a little more?
Yeah, somewhat. We just knew that if we played safe in lane, if all 3 lanes just played safe, we would be able to out-rotate, outplay them in team fights mid to late game. And yesterday it just went so poorly because our lane matchup wasn't as good. It was Kalista Sion versus Graves Janna, which is really, really hard. And then also there was an unfortunate TP play that happened bottom that snowballed the bot lane really hard. So just those 2 factors made it really rough. But today was a lot easier, and we just snowballed off all the lanes, and then we just won the game.
All right, so obviously a pretty good start here. You're 1-1 so far in the season, 10 total games. Next week you guys face Enemy Esports. I believe they're 1-0 right now, so these teams look pretty darn strong. How do you feel facing up against these guys?
I feel pretty confident. I think that like the first week was really rocky for me in terms of confidence, because even though Mimo is like he's a sub, but like I don't want to like rag on him. I think he's really, really good. It's just we're not as coordinated as we should be, like if we had Josh or Nintendude with us. So it's rough playing with such a new team, me and Trance not being together that long, and we don't even have our actual junglers. So we have to get more cohesive, and I think for the next week we'll be a lot more cohesive and work better as a team. So I'm feeling really confident going versus Enemy.
All right, we'll hope you guys keep that upward trend going. You went from a loss to a win. Maybe you can go even higher than a single win. We'll see what happens. Nian, of course, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck to the rest of your season.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break, but when we return, it is time for today's second match between TDK and the 1-0 Enemy Esports. Plus, we have highlights from their game last night where a pentakill was stolen. Find out who the scumbag was after this.
And it's not Freak.
I was pointing at you. In come the TPs. Trance losing a lot of his health, and down goes Rek'Sai, though. Final 5 now to fight a 4v5. Veritas forced to run away. Baron to Fusion.
This is not a good fight
in a pretty bad spot. It's going to be 2-0 so far. Now, who's going to get the cleanup? In comes Chunky Fresh, does trade one back, and Nian gets help from Mimo. They will kill off Rux, and Heaven Time doesn't have the damage.
There goes Hui.
The flash engage. Veritas is in range, so the engage happens. Hui. Zonia's just in time. Heaven Time forced to run away, though, and a great equalizer. The 3 kills picked up, and there's the engage. Rux comes into this fight. Gate very low off the start of it. Mimo's got to be careful too. Big ult from Graves, and Trance is low, but the Dragon buff means so much power.
Give me a fat beat!
Welcome back from the very first fat beat of the North American Challenger Series. What's up, guys? I am David Freak Turley. With me is apparently the less agile than before Aiden, Zyrie, and Moon, but that's okay. Flexibility not required in shoutcasting. We are minutes away from our second game. It's fun, between Enemy Esports and TDK tonight.
It's not required in shoutcasting?
Agility. All you have to do is talk.
Well, my interview was a little weirder than yours, I guess. But here's a look at their comp when they squared off last night. You can see here, they had a pretty decent composition here. Double AD that has a rumble in it for TDK. I think this is how you should build it, with either really hard engage from your support and your jungler, or disengage from those two roles.
Yeah, just a lot of damage, and I'm glad they have an AP top laner for mixed damage, but unfortunately for TDK, they couldn't quite pull the victory as really just the playmaking ability of NME was so high. Inox, converted mid laner this season, just went off on that Kassadin. The individual playmaking, again, right, Sivir getting to pick fights, Morgana having good follow-up for that, Kassadin, Rek'Sai getting to do individual things, made them very strong, and in fact, let's see how that all played out.
Yeah, talking about it, and now we're going to show it. Inox, converted to the mid lane, but Trashy moved over from another country to be here. Know him from H2K if you watch the European Challenger Series, and he sets up Inox, that new mid laner, with a 5-minute first blood.
Flash Q Ignite pretty darn strong here. Bot lane trades, though. I'm actually so surprised that Otter and Body Drop did well against Sivir versus Draven, but so much damage output here when you land bindings.
Yeah, here's the thing, is that Boomerang Blade still hit both of them again. And watch, they just continue to go through. They have to deal with Otter and Body Drop.
Oh, that bind was so good.
Because they're coming in here. Trashy flashes in to get the knockup and just starts going hard on this team. Louis and his support, Smoothie, were losing that 2-on-2 for so long that this is a full-on 5-on-5 in the bot lane at 15 minutes. Everybody just shows up. It is a party down there.
A Dragon attempt. Third one did go to TDK for this one, but these binds from Body Drop on point all day.
Gets chunked out right there, and now he has to abandon this fight, and it's the trail off here. When your AD carries are now your front line, they are so squishy, and you're going to see it right here.
And you can see the power of the Equalizer does give them a brief respite, but Flares is too big to die anymore, and he CCs the whole team, basically.
Runs up Kyle, so squishy, and the double AD carry comp crumbles underneath enemy, and they're just sustained pressure.
Yeah, when you get bursted out before your poke and general AoE goes down, it's not going to work well for you. And then you can just dive when you're ahead like this.
And this is the final fight here. You're going to see Inox picking up 1 kill, 2 kills, goes for Smoothie, picks up his 3rd.
Kaz going to die. By the way, spoiler alert, this is the one where the Pentacle gets stolen.
Quadra kill.
Zonia's.
And here comes the Rift Walk. Can he get it?
Nope.
No, it's the Tormented Soil. Body drop. Doesn't even drop. He has to live up to his name. He has to drop at least 1 body that fight.
He did.
Dropped
came back up, but it doesn't matter. So NME, of course, great performances. Inox, a guy I got to highlight, 16-1-9, was an underperforming top laner from Evil Geniuses last split. Well, guess what? He's a pretty darn good mid laner right now in Challenger. Otter, also the AD carry Sivir. Again, Sivir versus Draven, not an easy matchup, but his support made it easy.
Yeah, the big thing here for me, though, is Trashy moving over here was a big risk for the team.
Yeah.
They didn't try him out, and he just instantaneously meshed with the team, took over the shot calling. If you watched EU Challenger, you'll know Trashy from H2K and SKP for a little bit. This guy was extremely aggressive, and he would force things, and that would come back to bite him. Since then, he's actually scrimmed against a lot of LCS teams, and when I talked to him, he's like, I really like Meteos' playstyle. We're going to go ahead and start adopting that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's really cool to see his play style transition. Adaptability, definitely one of the strongest skills of a player. You can sometimes play purely to your own strengths, but if you can learn new strengths, it just gives you more things you're able to do. Rek'Sai, of course, definitely one of the higher damage junglers, means he can still hold on to a lot of that old style, but he's definitely done a really good job of keeping the overall game in mind.
Yeah, he plays more controlled now than he did before. He's not going in for all of these risky kills. He's going for the safe kills. So I really think that he's improved his play and adjusted to a style that is better for him as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And so overall, it means that Enemy as a team look to be one of the scariest teams in Challenger. Now, They're one of the best looking in the online qualifiers. They're one of the best looking in the off-season throughout various tournaments. ESL put on a couple.
Yeah, they just might be the best looking in general. Did you just see Trashy on your screen?
It's true.
Looks like Iceman from Top Gun.
It's true. He is. He's a stone cold killer as well. But the big thing also, you know, Nian said he thinks that they would be ready for them on Fusion. We'll have to see, though. Meanwhile, TDK kind of have looked fairly middling for a while. They did manage to qualify, so they clearly have played well enough to get here, but they are one of the dark horses of the Challenger Series right now.
Yeah, you look at their lineup, you see Kez and Seraph, two players that in the LCS did not have successful splits. Kez is known as a very reserved shot caller, and when he's up against somebody like Trashy who forces the issue, this is going to be really interesting to watch because it's kind of a clash of opposites. Kez is going to back up and concede objectives, and Trashy is going to take it and then take even more.
Yes. And I just want to point out, we haven't talked about TDK very much in this pregame as they go into Champ Select. When this team was made, they basically wanted to make a Korean NA team. The goal is for this team to play in Korean. Seraph, yes, is the old CLG Seraph. Kez, a Korean American, speaks the language as well. Kyle and Lewis XGG, they pulled in from Korea as, oh, I forget the official term for players outside of the, there's residents and there's like exempt non-residents and non-residents. Yeah, so Seraph is the one exempt non-resident, Kyle and Lewis XGG being just non-residents, and the rest from NA.
So they formed that team to play in Korean, like you said.
Yep.
They need to win lane phase, though.
Yeah.
That is a big thing here for TDK, is their laning phase is okay, but they fall into that challenger pitfall of when you ask them, how do you win games? It's like,
we win lane!
We win lane! And then we win the game from there. When you are facing equally skilled, if not better opponents, counting on winning lane is not a good strategy.
Right.
You need more than that. You need decisive shot calling, you need team cohesion, and they are not on that level just yet, but given some time, they could get there.
Well, Kez, of course, a very experienced shot caller. We saw him on Complexity. That is, of course, the old Kez as well. Had some good runs with Complexity. They would typically win their long games, and I do attribute a lot of that to Kez being able to navigate the team. Right, exactly. So TDK, if they can bring him out far enough, maybe Kez can bring in his old experience here. But the first pick, Janna, to get ourselves back into the champion set of things, will give TDK the ability to disengage and play longer games.
Yep. That long game is where Kez thrives. Hashtag 80 minutes the dream. He was a part of that. And I remember talking to Prolly, and he was saying that Kez is the guy who's like, no, you don't need to fight that. Back up. And he'd probably be like, no, I want to fight. And he's like, no, get out. You don't have to fight that.
Yep. Seed objectives, live to fight another day, and a higher percentage fight. Smart choices overall. The Kalista, though, that was so feared in the Fusion matchup there that was first picked or banned by them, is going to go over here to Otter, though. He had a great Sivir game, 5-1 and 20, I believe. Now he's giving Kalista a more individual playmaker, and lo and behold, Graves Janna, the matchup chosen to face against Kalista.
Yep, it's a matchup that is extremely good. Better base stats, more just auto attack damage too. Overall, you want to take Kalista out with auto attacks early and absorb some of it. It's the matchup to do it with. They put the Morgana on there though to make sure that Kez didn't pick up something like a Vi or something that can dive this and lock it down, so it helps Kalista stay mobile.
Yeah, even the Vi steal comes in all the same. And the thing is, at this point now, Sion and Morgana are flex picks. I was wondering when we were going to start seeing Sion support. I've been waiting for, like, since the rework, essentially, to see when Science Support came in. We did see it in the off-stream games yesterday, exactly. You can find the VODs. We actually did some of the highlights of it earlier today. So I don't know where Morgan and Sion are going.
Morgana doesn't strike me as an Inox champion, though. He likes champions that go in, right? So a lot of these, like, I just want to jump at the bans here. A lot of these are targeted across the board. Like mid laner, Enemy Esports wants to set Inox up with the best matchup possible. That's why they're also last picking him, so that he knows what he's getting into here.
Yeah.
And if it is a flex pick, you know, they have the option to send him into a bad matchup or a good matchup. They're going to send him into the good one every time.
Well, Vlad top lane is going to be the grab here for Seraph with Azir mid, I assume. Although I guess we've seen this champion in the other roles as well. Haven't seen Vlad in a very long time. I also got to point out, no J-Span and Kyle didn't go for it.
Yep.
If you guys don't know Kyle, he is like the epitome of the Jace god from Korea. And to not ban it and then not pick it as well by TDK is surprising to me.
Yeah, you ever see like Master Challenger Jace videos? It's usually Kyle, but he got it one time, I think, in the past. And then people were like, never again. And then I remember Reddit was like, why are you giving Kyle Jace? And they risk it here, too. But he doesn't pick it up. Instead, they ban out 3 other champions from that mid lane and say that we can handle your Jace.
The bigger individual playmakers go away, and they say, I dare you to play with Poke, so he picks his Azir, and he's going to try for it with this one. Again, we are on 5.2, so it is the old version of that champion. Yeah, the pre-nerf Azir, the right way to say it. Xerath will go mid lane for Inox, so he will play something back and safe. Yeah. Now the question is it top or support Sion and Morgana? Looks like top Sion, support Morg.
Yep.
Played it last time. I'm not that surprised.
Pretty standard across the board. That's boring. Anyway, I mean, they're basically playing almost the same thing they did yesterday in terms of what they want to accomplish, except Inox, he's on a pokey champion.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's not going to kill Azir in lane. Right. Azir's a very difficult champion to get to in lane. You have to go really hard on dive. You had to pick something ridiculous, like maybe like an Akali or something, to continue to get to him. But even then, you have to outplay his wall. So he's just going to sit back and be like, all right, you know what? I don't always have to kill you in lane. I can sit back and poke and be a siege tool for my team. I want to see how this works out for Inox, though, because that does not strike me as his style.
He did at least play old Nidalee back before she had to use Cougar for him.
He was poking all the time.
Yeah, so
it is a poke champion, just like it.
There is some of that instinct still left over for Inox. And again, you expect any top-level player to be able to emulate more than one style. I think players will always be best at one given style, whatever their natural inclination was, but they can get that second style to like a 90% mark, and Inox, again, used to play Nidalee all the time, so it's something that I expect he's going to be okay at regardless. But getting our team comps in, you still have to give a pretty big edge to the team with all this great poke power, the Azir, the Janna to back it up, the Graves as follow-up, but TDK haven't looked the sharpest.
Yeah, TDK, their team cohesion leaves something to be desired. They need to get through laning phase, even or ahead, to actually operate. Whereas enemy can pretty much operate at any stage in the game as a team, as players. They don't really care about momentum too much.
Yeah. Well, Flares does. He's playing Sion. All he has is momentum.
Sometimes you just can't stop it. There's no brakes.
No brakes in the Sion train. Well, we are here into the rematch between TDK and Enemy. Enemy, of course, did win yesterday. We just saw those highlights a minute ago. In a fairly long game, but controlled all the same by these guys. What I'm interested by, though, is TDK bringing out the Vlad top. Haven't seen that in quite some time. Seraph was actually touted to be a more carry top laner. CLG didn't really get that out of him. TDK just might. And also, we have this Graves Janna lane that's supposed to win against this enemy bot duo.
What you laughing at, Trashy? Take a sand soldier to the face.
Doesn't even care.
Yeah. But Seraph, like you said, when he came over, people were like, Lissandra highlights. Whoa, who is this guy? And his Nidalee highlights were really just crazy. And then he comes in, he's like, Shyvana.
Yeah.
Renekton. Playing all the meta things, and people were like, Dave 35 of the LCS. When is Seraph going to play a carry? And he never got to do it.
The one I remember actually of him was he was Jax against LMQ, and he started out 2-0, and then still lost to Ackerman when he was like a level up and 2 kills ahead, who was on Shyvana that game. Yep. And that was like my quintessential like Seraph moment, where it's like, how do you not win a game at that point? So hopefully he's shaking off the jitters, shaking off the rust, and he's in good shape here. The Vlad I do want to see do well. He's going to start Kez off in the jungle, and it's, by the way, a lane swap here for Enemy.
Yep.
No deep wards by TDK means they didn't see it coming necessarily. Enemy going to start up the freeze while Janna Graves are doing their crux.
No deep wards from anybody because of the fact that they had done battle lines. Nobody could really shove in. So they get the lane swap, and now Body Drop is harassing this.
He's getting a lot of gold income for this one. Kez and Seraph losing health. Smite is down, by the way. There's always the chance.
Oh.
Ooh, okay. Kez got it.
You gotta go between those ticks, Kez. You got it. So he's good.
Yeah, took all the CS, but Body Drop did deal plenty of damage. Thankfully, duo jungling is a fairly safe thing to do. Flares did not, by the way, go to cheese the camp at the start of the game. Trashy and Flares are going to take their bottom camp as soon as possible. They know actually this camp would be contestable by the duo lane that TDK put down there, so they rush to it before it can be stopped.
And TDK do nothing about it. Smoothie doesn't even walk up. Here's the thing, though, is that by this point, Trashy's already level 2. Whereas on the TDK side, when they went to harass, Kez was only level 1. Right? So there's no possible way that he has like a stat advantage or skill up advantage, whereas Trashy would have Vault Breaker by this point and could close the distance on Smoothie.
So overall, good things done in the laning phase. So far, seems equal. The top laner's not getting much farm. The AD carry is basically free farming here. The CS lead you're seeing that's different is just because Otter is freezing, so more minions are alive for him to kill.
And this is actually the first lane swap of the North American Challenger Series.
That's true.
Even including the games from yesterday. So watching these two teams and how they deal with this is going to be very interesting. I know Seraph has experience in lane swaps. Not always the most fruitful, but FLICKR's also coming off a little LCS stint as well from Winterfox.
That's true, and he was a pretty decent player there. They did get their 1 win over Gravity, so he's done some good work. FLICKR's right now being actually left alone to farm right there. He actually pulled in the Morgana support. They are 2v1ing the Graves right here. I want to know what Janna's up to. Smoothie helping with Seraph. I don't think it's going to be very fruitful.
In lane swap, though, there aren't many things that are fruitful. They sit around.
There's a couple lanes that actually are quite good when you have like Jack plus a CC support. You end up having these really good stun combos.
When you get a Bruiser with a CC support,
yeah.
When like an Annie's running around in the game.
Yeah, like Annie Jax is scary as crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to face that lane ever.
So, facing a Nemesis draft as a normal lane.
Sure, why not?
Speaking of things that are scary, Louis. This guy was not faring well at all yesterday. He was getting killed in a 2-on-2 without jungle assistance on the enemy team. It was really rough. He looked like he could not stack up next to Otter, so they pick him the best lane possible, right? The Graves Janna to deal with the Callista, but then enemy lane swap it, so he doesn't even get the matchup.
And now I want to see how well Otter farms in the 1-on-2. So far, Louis was doing okay farming under his turret. Trashy does get spotted. Tornado says hello, but Rend is still here. Otter's still doing some decent damage. Pops it in. Out he goes.
So Otter's going to have to auto attack, get some HP back here. Seraph has more potions left in the tank, so he's got the sustained advantage. But these AD carries and these lane swaps are not completely safe.
No.
You get to the point where the bruisers and the top laners kind of shoot past you in power with a support next to them.
I think right now it's mostly when the jungler shows up, because neither air quotes top laner has great hard CC, so the follow-up is kind of not there. But if Vi or Rek'Sai do show, then it is. And it means that ward control has to be given to these AD carries. Or support.
Boom! Out of nowhere. But this wave is shoving up really hard. And so it's going to give Seraph some extra CS. He's going to be in a good spot. And that means that it's a 1-on-1 down bottom for Flares and Louis.
Now Sion 1 level down because he shared his lane for so long, is poking out against Graves a little bit. He's already recalled for Pickaxe though, meeting Flares. Not going to be in the best of situations in this matchup.
Trashy knows that there aren't a lot of wards in this area, so he's actually just going to walk up.
A lot of harass. It could be a flash vault breaker, maybe.
Nope,
already the flash by Louis GG.
They get the flash. Flares. He takes a lot of minion damage there, though. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just yells.
Here comes Inox.
Wow. They did not see Inox coming down. He walked through his own pink ward, but Trashy gives it away, I think. Maybe they pinged him out. Burns the someone heal for move speed, but wow, that shout on the minions means first blood for Trashy.
That was a huge collaborative effort there from all 3 members of NME to make that kill happen.
And there's more happening in this top lane too. Otter and Body Drop. I don't know why I said Inox. Having their way with the sort of unconventional dual lane of TDK all the same. Already looking at enemy's game.
Man, MVP of that kill was Louis' own minion. It betrayed him.
It did. It got afraid of Sion yelling at it.
It ran right at him and was like a little kid and grabbed onto his leg. It's like, help me!
Aww.
And that slows you down. You can't run away as fast. You got a minion hooked onto your leg.
Freaking Munchkin minions. Why would they betray me? They already block me enough walking around.
I know.
That's why I buy Phantom Dancer.
That is why.
Also because I like crit chance, but
yeah, you know. Higher crit chance, but you can also walk through them. Disregard minions, acquire kills.
There you go. Or just play Fizz. Oh. Or Rift Walk over them. There's so many ways to deal with minions, guys. I don't know why you complain.
Phantom Dancer on just everything. Tank. Yeah, I'm done with this. Playing Rek'Sai in the jungle. Get a Phantom Dancer.
Hey, did you watch the Season 1 commentated cinematic? Phantom Dancer's on Katarina. Ooh. Props to those who get the reference.
That's right.
Well, top lane under fire. Body Drop getting money for hitting the turret. Why the heck not? Smoothie has very little to do here. The teleport by Seraph, though, and he is going for a sustained build.
Yeah, he needs a sustained build. He keeps getting poked out of this lane. Otter is level 6. He can Fate's Call body drop in, so Seraph needs to always be topped off, or else he risks being engaged on. 2, 3.
Wow.
That's why he's Serpentine.
All right, Inox batting 0 on Zerathult so far this game.
0 for 3. The poke style, you know, he worked out with his roam down bottom, but here's another roam.
Hold on. Ooh,
Whoa.
Good flash by Flares. They expected that combo to work. Lost his ult for it, but at least he's going to stay alive.
It's one of those situations where you can't unburrow while in transit. You have to wait for it to complete, and it gives him enough time to flash away. So.
All right, good retreats here. Kez is 6, has already ulted once to a tunnel. TDK, though, holding a 600 gold deficit. Not too bad. They're getting farm in most of those lanes, but the kill being the big difference here. Callista, actually, first item Zerk Greaves, interesting. Really wanted the mobility.
Yep, because her passive scales off of the rank of her boots.
Yes.
Not so much attack speed. Attack speed lets you
helps.
use it a little more.
It does help.
But the distance is based off of your boots. So that's what he's going for, is just the mobility. Look at that. Whee!
Aw, we don't see him again.
No! But look at this. They know
he
the flash is down. He has ulti, though.
But Vi's coming. He's got Trashy around. The ulti is popped. Doesn't do much, though. Flair's still forced to walk slowly. No ult for Graves. Will they re-engage? Trashy is 6. They don't seem to want the fight, though. Flair's without mana means they back off. Also, Azir, the first one to rotate over, gets pinged out, but they leave.
All he's doing is placing wards down, so Kyle is covering the sides. That's all they get for that. The flash is already down. They might go for this dragon, though, knowing that Trashy is about 3/4 HP. Flares does have his teleport available. He's still clearing this bottom wave.
Yeah, well, lopsided lanes means TDK gets the chance to start this dragon without much contest. Flares recalls. He does have teleport. If they can get a ward down here, Trashy's
They TP to the
around.
turret.
All right, so he's not going to try for much. Inox. They're waiting. They look for the play onto Seraph. Black Shield ulti gets popped. Seraph does not have summoners. They're going to chase this one. He's not 6 either, but they can't stay under the turret that long. In comes the engage. Who's got the steal? It does go to the blue team. TDK gets dragon number 1. Inox does not get knocked up by the Janna, though. No slow by Azir either. Enemy have a very, very tanky Scion. Top lane outer turret goes down, and I believe Inox missed all 3 again.
Yeah, Kyle doing a good job. Zigzag. That's what you got to do. It works perfect
for him. Yep. He's going to be happy. On
that was actually
level 8.
a 3-on-4, too.
Yeah.
So they end up just poking and disengaging. And meanwhile, nothing really happens for enemy or TDK. TDK get a dragon, but
Enemy grew a farm lead.
yeah.
They've gotten a ton of minions now on Otter. And you can see what you were talking about before about being a little bit hesitant and not overcommitting for objectives. Enemy do not give up any kills for that dragon attempt. They don't
You can go straight over that wall.
And Kez wants flares. They're trying so hard to pick off this Scion. He does not have any escape tools, but his health bar is big enough that it's not going to matter. Knocks up Kez and walks out safely. We're not holding the Scion down.
Fixes his giant's belt and walks away.
Yep.
Flashes the buckle, too. Got to do that. It's intimidating.
Oh, of course. You got to have a flashy-looking belt buckle, too, right? It has to say something like menacing on it.
I was listening to the cast earlier today with in EU. It was like, Scion's running away, cowards! And he's running away from them.
He's referring to his summoner that was making him ult out.
Or was it 2-on-1 and calling them cowards for ganging up on him?
Yeah, that's just smart strategery, okay?
It's a legitimate strategy.
Yes! League of Legends is a team game. If you die to a 1-on-3, that's still your fault.
So somebody's like, why are you camping me? It's a legitimate strategy.
Yeah, your flash is down.
As
Learn
you run
to
back
play.
into the bush to camp them more.
Yeah. Oh, Trashy knows awards sees him.
Where's it at?
Not that one.
The
Checking the brush. Guess
the-
wrong, homie.
It doesn't matter. It's pink. He sees it anyway.
Very good color matching here. The Oracle's the ward and Vi herself, but...
And Hotshot's hair.
Nice, very true. Hot pink GG. Lewis X GG. Coincidence? I think not.
Nope. Is that Illuminati?
Yep. There's so many triangles in this game, you don't even believe it.
Look at that. They just need one more. Look at between the positioning and triangulating between Otter, Body Drop, and Smoothie.
Yep.
It's a triangle.
Wow. Confirmed.
Now it's a line.
The whole time,
There it's a
guys.
triangle. Boom.
You can make a triangle between any 3 nonlinear points. So, I mean, pretty much no matter what, you get triangles. Actually, question. Does it have to be an equilateral triangle to be Illuminati? Can it just like be a random obtuse triangle? Actually, I've never seen it not be an acute triangle. It's always an acute triangle.
An acute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Enemy, though, making some cute moves around the map. 2 turrets down so far. Zerker Greaves, BF Sword, Callista. 30 CS up, by the way, over EUCS GG. They managed to hold that 2-on-1 for so darn long. They made it a free farm lane for Callista. Got her out of that lane easily, denied a bunch of farm to Vlad, and Sion escaped getting camped. Enemy, so many unsung, like, great moments by them in the laning phase.
It's a win across the board for Enemy off the lane swap that they made happen. Like I said, TDK, if they get out of the laning phase and
How do you go
behind,
3-0 on turrets in a lane swap?
you kill all the turrets.
Yeah.
No, you just have superior lanes where people are playing the lane swap correctly and slowly but surely getting pressure. Because it's 14 minutes in, and like you said, they have all 3 of those outer turrets. You get the pressure, you get people to take the fights in the right places, and to not engage the fights. Like, they didn't go so hard on the Dragon.
Yeah.
Was a 4-on-3, and they didn't get punished for it.
It is worth calling out that although we say it's 3-0 on turrets, there is that Dragon that TDK went for. You can argue whether it was worth it or not, but they did. So, again, you can argue that, and I'm not disagreeing, but they did make the choice to say, we want Dragon instead of, probably they would have gotten bot lane turret for it. So that was the choice they made. They got something off of the lane swap, off of the lane allocations, but gold is certainly in enemy's favor.
Yeah, and gold definitely means a lot more right now than the 6% AP and AD. At least in my mind.
You're gonna change your tune when they get Dragon 5 at 34 minutes. And
oh man, 20 minutes from now when they pick up Dragon 5 and their Nexus is dying. It's worth it.
Hey, if you get the comeback.
Yeah, if they can get it, like that's the thing, right? Is it's not worth anything, but it is an investment if it pays off.
Yes.
But that's
something.
Big,
not worth that
that's
much.
A big if. Yeah, it's not worth a lot though. And like when you get these 3 turrets, you get money to spend on wards as well. You get money to build your next item. So they hit breakpoints and they can continue to push their lead.
Yeah. You very typically get advantages out of the turret kills. We'll see what enemy turns that gold into, though.
I want to see the difference between who gets the first dragon and who gets the first turret.
On win rate?
In win rate.
Unsure.
If there is a difference, because some teams get both.
Sure. I mean, you just count those games, right? You pick the games where they were different. And you look at the contrasted win rates there. Something we can look at some point, I'm sure. 3,500 gold lead right now. Dragon in 30 seconds. Looks like enemy wants to hold the vision control here. They will not control the enemy jungle. Right now, there's actually plenty of poke coming out from Kyle as well. Will they stay for this ward? They should. And the Xerath poke, both these guys having blue buff. And health bar is going to start dropping.
I always feel like you can concede the first dragon if you get turrets for it, then you show up for the second one with more gold. So you're ahead if the fight breaks out. You can position yourself here better. You have more gold to possibly spend on wards to cover the entryways. So all in all, it always just seems to me that the first dragon is just not worth it in comparison if you're giving up a turret for it. But we will see, especially if it's 2. Then it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, Dragon wanted by enemy. They can make this 1-1, and you can see that no turret's really going to be answered for this. Mid lane did get pushed out just now by Kyle. Enemy spent a lot of resources at Dragon and didn't notice the mid lane push. They've been forced out of the river because of this. Otter not pushing bot either. Enemy really kind of letting their minions go, with the exception of top lane, which is being pushed by flares.
I mean, it is a Callista. He gets to kill this very quickly with his Ren.
However, Xerath split up, though. This is risky. He gets the Ren, but can they get out? TDK unwilling to start the fight. They don't actually have engage.
They have Flare's top.
Nothing happens.
They're getting Seraph's TP for this. So Flares gets to do whatever he wants now. He has that level advantage. He's almost level 11. He can TP. He can ultimate into a fight. He can go ahead and stay in lane and just try to push Seraph out. It'd be very difficult against his Vlad. But he has all these options now available to him because of the TP advantage.
Wow. Unfortunately, there was no ward for a flank TP by Seraph because Inox had split himself up from the TP. He was actually stuck in mid lane. TDK could have tried to force a 5v4 with Seraph on the outskirts. Didn't happen here. Flares with a level lead and a cowl is already built to survive Seraph in lane. Looks like I want to see if pressure does happen. It's a high CDR build, but no magic pen yet. Means not a lot of damage being dealt.
Yeah, he just gets some HP back. That's about it. Trashy sees Kez. Kez sees the ward. What are they going to say about it? Looks like they're going to be pretty reserved in that and just back off. They have advantages across the board for enemy. They don't want to go with a very reckless play.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen here.
Look at the items for Otter. He's already got his Runeham's Hurricane, his boots too. He's very mobile, has a lot of damage output. He can shove waves phenomenally well and extremely quickly.
Yeah. And he's not far from Bloodthirst, which means life is going to be painful. Now, what I want to point out something on the other side, though, is this Graves build, because it was something I've been thinking about for the last couple of weeks, and I wondered if it was going to be a real build, and it's Youmuu's first Graves. Now, think about how every caster mid laner ever builds, right? All the Zeds, the Talons, the Fioras, with the exception of things like a Ruin King for the spell or like a Hydra for like the wave clear for Fiora, they all build Armor Pen because Armor Pen is the best way to increase spell damage. Graves being a spell-based AD carry, I was wondering if we were going to see Youmuu's first Graves builds. So far tonight, we're actually seeing 2 in a row. And it makes them very spell-based. His auto attacks are fairly weak, and it takes you a long time for your auto attacks to matter because there's no IE until like 7,000 gold.
Louis and Kez looking for Otter. It's very hard for...
Oh, smart. Oh, wait, it's not... Oh, Graves showed killing it. But he's not revealing his...
Didn't see Kez.
Yep, and that means
so go for Louis.
But it's a 2-on-2. Morgana came in, the flash engage, and here comes Smoothie as well. Flares on the backside, though. Body drop will land the stun onto Kez, and Kez might not have anywhere to go. Suddenly, yep, the Xerath ult will land, and it's going to be Inox picking up first kill. The re-engage with Exhaust, though, onto Smoothie. Can they make anything more happen? Oh, the bind onto Kyle. Body drop, such a good Morgana, making this happen. 3-0 enemy.
Very scattered fight there, but they're going to be able to take this turret off of that fight, and a 2-for-0 in favor of enemy.
Vladimir, by the way, you talk about the Seraph TP being used. He's pushing top and getting 2 waves of farm, but guess what? Enemy got 2 kills, a tier 2 turret, and maybe even the inhib turret for this.
They're going to keep shoving this in. They have a lot of fast damage to shove into this turret, and Louis dies!
Oh, wow, the minion once again betrays Louis GG. The Inox snipe comes in, and just like last time, a 20-minute inhibitor push.
He just cannot catch a break. Louis GG is really struggling, whether it's in lane or the 2-on-2, the 1-on-2, he's still struggling. And then in these team fights, his positioning is, he's getting caught out. Things like that are very rare.
Yeah. Well, the lane counter pick not happening at all thanks to a lane swap by enemy. They got 3 turrets from the lane swap as well, and their mid lane pressure. And all they gave up for this entire game has been 1 dragon.
We're going to see that again. They didn't know Kez was in there, so Kez actually flashes to get onto Otter. So Otter is now disengaged. Kez can no longer close this distance because it is almost impossible to close on a Kalista as a Rek'Sai after using your move block. And now, Trashy, I thought he was going to go on Kyle here, but he goes for Smoothie, and instead they get the CC they need onto Kyle. Right there, the binding into the decimating slam. Really good lock up there on Kyle to stop him from outputting damage for the rest of the fight.
Body drop's target switching was just very, very sexy there, and a very well-earned fight as a result. Wards get cleared out for both sides. And we sit on a 6,000 gold lead 21 minutes in for enemy. Now, where's their next point of pressure? Bot inhib is already dead, and with minions that scary, it's going to take a lot of effort to clear out.
Immediately to the top lane here. Kill all these Rek'Sai tunnels, get a little bit of gold on your support. But that's not the big thing. The big thing is everybody is moving towards this part of the map because they have a dominant gold lead. They have this bottom lane shoving. Seraph now has his TP, but they have the damage to take out this turret very quickly.
You're seeing, though, still some respect is given. You have to remember the fact that Azir can knock you in. You still have a lot of burst coming out that is available from Majana shielded Graves. Once again, the bind on the Kyle. All 3 shots there. Ganox just needed to warm up for a bit, and he made it all happen.
That's
wave getting cleared.
That's their big wave clear gone. Louis might have to blow his ultimate this wave to clear it. But look at that. Here comes the engage. Otter throwing him out.
So much threat by Body Drop landed. The Binding Flares gets a stun onto Kez as well, and they will destroy Smoothie. 5-0 in this game. They've got another wave coming soon if they want to take down the inhibitor turret as well.
Sucking that Smoothie through a straw after that one. He was completely just destroyed. Now they get to push this. Seraph has been MIA for the last couple fights.
Yeah.
He's just off doing other things. He TP'd, but like nothing comes of it. His TP is not very impactful on this Vladimir.
Enemy absolutely outplaying this game. The 23-minute siege, all the damage coming out from Sion, Xerath, and Morgana binding as well. They're looking for inhibitor turret number 2, 23 minutes in. A lane lead turns into just crushing advantages. They are not letting up at all. And now 23 minutes in, inhibitor under fire. Kez goes in, it's a 5v5, but first kill comes in already. Flair's forced to run away though. Seraph ult is on him, but he's gonna go drop down so fast. Body drop doesn't even die for the trouble, so 2-0. Now Otter though does get shut down. Finally, a kill picked up for TDK.
That was his last spell that you could cast there. Inox has his ultimate available, but he doesn't have the mana for it. Oh, there he goes!
Kez, Kyle! Alright, he dodges. Given the chance, Kyle does dodge very, very well. You can see the mechanics of the players on TDK, but the problem is, Enemy play this game so much better strategically, from the lane swap to the sieges afterwards.
Yeah, and when you get behind in a lane swap like that, you give up all those turrets, and then you're against a team that knows how to get vision control of where they're headed. Look at that topside jungle where they were just at. They gave themselves so many options. They were like, you can't flank us. We'll know when Seraph is TPing. We have the coverage here. Even if they wanted, like they couldn't get that top lane turret, they'd be like, okay, we can rotate middle and then jump between the two. They set themselves up for something that didn't happen, but they had the option to do that. It's really, they were able to push that off of hitting Kyle out.
Yeah. And what's cool is those wards might last just long enough for them to take Baron afterwards.
Oh.
Solo kill. Dang. Inox just straight destroys Seraph there, and they're going to take mid lane turret. Like, they're taking 3 objectives at the same time. Kalista's setting up Baron. Dragon's going down to Trashy right now, and mid lane's already under fire.
Just all across the board here, Enemy are looking really good in this matchup. Yesterday, they had a game where it was 30 kills to 10, and it ended in 36 minutes. Today, it looks like it's going to be a lot faster than that.
Not many fantasy points for the Enemy players out there. Actually, none, because you can't pick them. It's Challenger Series. Good call, right, Freak? I know.
You used to be able to pick flares, though. He was in it for a week.
Wouldn't count for this game, though. It should be a pretty quick Baron grab. Otter presses E, and Baron killed. Kez gets rooted, flashes and tunnels away. He's going to live, but Enemy now wearing a Baron buff 25 minutes and 20 seconds in. Bottom and Hib respawn. Top lane and Hib never seemed to go down, because they did lose the fight after all.
Now they have multiple places to apply pressure. Flares has his teleport back up. And here's the thing, too, is they don't even have huge level or experience leads on Enemy side. It's not like anybody's running away with the game in kills or CS.
Yeah,
it's really just
one level
the objectives. The objective calling is what is getting them this huge lead. It's those turrets, right? Seraph is actually up in CS by 50 because he's been split pushing. And then you look at Otter, he's up by about 20. But there's no huge, like, somebody's getting crushed just CS-wise. It's all about these turrets and the team play from Enemy.
And they're going to show themselves now for another turret mid lane. The only left up inhibitor turret. They want it with the Baron buff. Minions taking some turret shots here. Kez looking for a flank. Gets spotted out by Trashy. He's got to be careful. Ballbreaker shreds the armor. 10,000 gold lead plus a Xerath siege. Now, blue buff is up for the taking. They're not looking for it just yet, though.
No, they're looking for flares to apply pressure onto this top lane inhibitor, and they might move bottom, but they also have the option of sieging middle. Xerath has such great siege options, and here he goes again. Kyle takes 1.
Takes 2, but he's going to survive overall. However, it gives him enough time to push down the mid lane because Azir is out of the fight. Down goes the turret. Inhibitor under fire. Seraph gets caught out. Ren takes the kill. That's a lot of people now not able to fight back as Enemy looks for a double inhibitor take at the same time. Otter picks up 1.
They could go
there we go.
They could go for 3 inhibitors here.
Sure, the bottom one is unturreted at all. There's a mini wave looking at the Nexus right now as well, but looks like close bind. Triple inhib, safe advantage. Why the heck not? Baron's still here for a minute, which means they can push in the succeeding minion waves now. And it's just minions all over the place. Not much TDK can do right now. Louis forced to back away. Poke from Xerath pushing him out. Flare's gonna TP in from the base after he buys one more item. Buys a Haunting Guise just for fun. Gets a mask for his Scion. There's every turret possibly a bit able to be killed. In comes the Nexus push. 27.5 minutes. Enemy never let up all game. 1 kill, 1 turret, 1 dragon. That's it.
Very dominating, commanding lead there. Not off of playing team fights until they already had a big advantage. Right? You get those tiny advantages, create them, make them even larger, off of getting turrets, off of rotating, knowing they can't fight you. The threat of a fight it's kind of like old Nidalee with the Xerath in the middle there. Threw his ultimate out, not to get kills, but to at least do damage to their wave clear, and then their wave clear backs off. Free turrets.
Yeah. I'm just very impressed with the enemy shot calling.
Yeah.
The things they did well. Outplayed the lane swap, outplayed the mid lane, outplayed the second half of the lane swap where they pushed down to bottom turret because they already have an item lead on their AD carry. They outplayed with the TP advantages. Knowing Seraphs is down, they pick a fight in the extended long lane and teleport their Scion down there, knowing it's 5v4, knowing it's going to work out.
Is crazy. This is a team that you need to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
They're 2-0 right now. They played against TDK twice, won in 36 minutes, cut that 10 minutes off of that, ended in 27. They look really good right now. This is the team to beat in Challenger.
Well, so far they're alone in first place at 2-0. Obviously, very early on, we in fact still have a game 2 to come up.
They're only 10 games, though.
Sure,
They're
right.
only 10 games before playoffs.
Right.
So you already start out 2-0. You're off to a really good start. You can't start off going like 1-4 and then being like, all right, we're going to come back. You have to be good right out of the gate here.
I know, exactly. It's a fairly short season. They qualified in, and if you want to get those top spots so you can make it into the playoffs, qualify for an LCS spot doing all this. So, enemy 2-0. A couple teams behind them at 1-1. TDK, unfortunately, though, to a slow start. You mentioned the fact that with it being a short season, you've got to kick it into gear very quickly. I do agree TDK needs some strategic work. Kez being their shot caller, having played multiple splits in the LCS, you expect him to have a bit of a better showing here on that side, but overall, their lane assignments were weak. The Vladimir never got off the ground because there's no team fight from the back off to sort of back up from. It's a damage dealer. He got as far by split pushing, but the rest of his team fell apart in front of him.
Yeah, and TDK weren't really able to do any damage control, and I think Louis is a big part of that. He's not winning the 2-on-2s. He's downright losing them and dying. And then in lane swaps, he's still not playing them 100% correctly. He's like 70% of the way there. But when you're the AD carry and you make one misstep versus a bruiser who can outduel you, you're going to feel that pain. And if you don't have enough ward coverage, like your support should ward for you and then leave.
Right.
Or else you're not covered. You can't shove up. You can't deny CS from the top laner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things here that kind of amalgamated into this big lead that they ended up with on NME's side.
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from NME. They played this
so well.
Crazy well. That was a really impressive and clean game.
Yeah.
Just all through every lane. Like I'm thinking back on it. Like Trashy was in the right places at the right time. He knew where to be. Inox did a really good job of roaming on a Xerath in a lane swap. Like usually in lane swaps, mid laners just clashed each other forever.
Yeah.
And it was like, nope, going bottom. And then he made it happen. He gave his team that avenue into the game. I thought that was really well done by all of Enemy across the board.
I agree. So, great start by Enemy. 2-0 first place team in the NA Challenger Series so far. Guys, we're going to take our final break of the evening, and when we come back, the TSM and CLG rivalry returns and makes its Challenger debut. CLG Black and TSM Darkness go head-to-head right after this. Don't go anywhere. Burns is someone to heal from boost speed, but wow, that shout on the minions means first blood for Trashy. Suddenly, yep, the Xerath ult will land, and it's going to be Inox picking up the first kill. The re-engage with Exhaust, though, onto Smoothie. Can they make anything more happen? Oh, the bind onto Kyle.
Fast damage to shove into this turret, and Louis dies!
Oh, wow, the minion once again. Kez goes in. It's a 5v5, but first kill comes in already. Flair is forced to run away, though. Seraph ult is on him, but he's going to go drop down so fast. Body drop doesn't even die for the trouble. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the North American Challenger Series. We are 2 games down so far. That means we got 1 match left tonight. That's going to be us going the distance with CLG Black facing off against TSM Darkness. I know, very original post names to both these teams.
Here's a look at their team comps from last night. You can see there was actually a really good double AD carry composition here for Team Solo Mid Darkness. They picked an AP top laner. They picked 2 disengage champions in the jungle and support
We
role.
specify actually, these are backwards. CLG Black, it's Westrice, Thinkcard, Easy, Stixay, and ICANNEU. I will say, yes, I do like their team comp, right? AP top laner, a lot of disengaged power. This is almost exactly what CLG Prime ran when they ran a double AD comp, by the way. A lot of similar champions in these roles. TSM Darkness, they did run a very interesting team composition, right? Xerath, Zingy on Vi, Teaser in the top lane. Not normally a top laner, by the way, but still managed to make it work.
Yeah, Teaser's actually their AD carry, who was forced to play top lane when Big Ol' Ron, their top laner, was having internet issues. But they ended up with a pretty good game for themselves using their old AD carry, J Jackstar, to fill that role.
All right, so let's check out how the final score ended up going in this game. Honestly, a lot of very big performances. Arc second, the mid laner from TSM Darkness, went off on Xerath, 8-0-8, a freaking million minion kills as well, and just all the gold.
Yeah, there was an early lead for CLG Black. They were camping Teaser in the top lane on a role that he wasn't really familiar with in a competitive setting, and they threw him off his game, but then they ended up taking some desperation fights, a Baron that didn't work out in their way, and they couldn't reach Arc second at all that game, and he was just this enormous Xerath who was CSing and showing up to the fights huge. 10 CS per minute on that champion, did a really good job. But they do have to rely on Thinkcard for CLGB in this game. He's actually in the CLG house, so he's getting a lot of kind of proximity training from being around those guys. He really enjoys it there, and that's the type of shot calling that CLB needs to bring, is that shot calling that's going to close out a lead once they get it early.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can do that. But the team I do want to talk about a bit more, though, is TSM Darkness. They actually almost didn't make it into the Spring Challenger Series. They actually lost to Cloud9 Tempest in the final qualifier round. But, of course, they replaced C9T when it was determined that those guys used an illegal substitute in that final match. So TSM Darkness, formerly known as Team Confound, I had seen many people say that they almost didn't deserve to be there. They looked like a bad team. But so far, they're starting out the series 1-0.
Well, yeah, a lot of people would jump to conclusion and say they're a bad team when you lose 2-0 to a squad that's using a substitute that isn't even on their roster, right? And TSD, they are capitalizing, though, on their inclusion so far. Zingy, he's the master tactician. We keep talking about him in the jungle. He's acted as sort of a challenger gatekeeper over the past few seasons. It'll be interesting to see how far this team will go and how they'll fare when Big Ol' Ron is back in that top lane. Because the fact that it was a top laner you weren't prepared to deal with could have been a wrench in the plans.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see how well Zingy did do, by the way. 16 KD on that last game. You guys might know him as the famous Fiddlesticks jungler. He pulled 3 jungle bans. Fiddle, Pantheon, J4, still crushed on Vi. So far, TSM Darkness do look good.
He's playing a lot of meta things now, too. Like, his Karthus is still really high up there on what he plays, but he also plays meta things now. He's got the J4 in his pool, his Vi. He's not afraid to whip those out. And they threw, like you said, the bans at him like Fiddlesticks Pantheon. He's like, okay, I've got better junglers, more meta things available to me that I can still play.
I mean, that just allows him to play more styles. Again, he's going to be better at the carry mage style, but being able to play tank engage is still a good thing to have from the jungle role. It opens up your team comps. Now, on CLG Black's side, they've got a lot of veterans as well. ICANNEU is now playing support for them. He's played like every role ever. He played top lane, he played AD carry. You guys also, we talked about him a little bit before, Thinkcard in the CLG house. He subbed for CLG in their final week of games in the LCS. Also, former Complexity top laner Westrice is there. So there's a lot of familiar faces, but guys who have had only moderate success overall in their LCS careers.
Yeah, and ICANNEU, though, he was in the Challenger Series for a bit. He is currently the North American Collegiate Championship top laner, who ended up with that honor last year. But moving to support role, kind of stepping down from shot calling, I want to see if he's okay with taking a side role to Thinkcard.
Yeah, well, we'll see that ends up being the case. The Thinkcard and Zingy match was actually one we want to talk about quite a bit. These 2 junglers, I think, have a lot going for them. They're 2 pretty hotly anticipated players, I think. Thinkcard, even though they did lose all 4 games they played when he subbed for CLG way back in summer of 2014, he got first blood for them like every single time. So he can make those early ganks happen.
Yeah, and you can see there, Azingi, TSM Darkness. Of course, he's completely dark too.
Why wouldn't you be?
You can't see him because he's always fiddlesticks ulting from great vision control. He knows how to play from behind and control vision. That is his big, like, selling point. When you play fiddlesticks, you're always like, where's the vision around me? Sweep everything, pink ward this, and sit there and know that they don't know where you're sitting. It's like, I have this engage free whenever I want to take it, whenever I see them go too far forward. So that is the Master Tactician at work. And you can see there that 16 KDA speaks for itself from last game.
Right. So Zingy, of course, standing on a pink ward when he tried to get his picture. Just got brushed. That was it. Nothing there at all. He's Lost Boy Jr. in this one. So it is going to be a pretty close match, though. CLG Black did have a lot of hype behind them when they joined the Challenger Series, but TSM Darkness so far making a good name for themselves. TSM 2-0 against CLG overall in the past 6 days.
Man, it's like when your older brother does something and has a rivalry with somebody and you just kind of inherit it down. You're just like, I never did anything to that guy. Why are we Oh, I guess we're enemies now. Just because our brothers don't like each other.
You got to keep it going. The little brothers of both teams now showing up. Callista not allowed for Stixay, and no one is surprised at all that Azingi's not getting fiddlesticks.
Yeah, that's probably going to be banned against him every single time.
We said that about Jace with Kyle.
I mean, he didn't pick it, though.
I know.
He didn't pick it, though. Azingi would probably jump on top of that fiddlestick so quickly, make your head spin. Faster than the Crow Storm. Which does have a good wind-up to it.
Would my head spin in a Crow Storm?
It would be taken off by the crows, and then they'd spin around in a circle. We're getting very...
The crows would spin.
They would spin your head. All right, anyway.
Okay. Why not?
Just making it as terrible as possible.
Yeah, you didn't do...
Crow Storm.
Leave the references to me.
No, I'm just saying the Crow Storm is very deadly. It's really,
it is.
really bad to stand inside of that thing.
Have you seen the movie The Birds? It's pretty old, but it's about birds that...
That's what Fiddlestick's based off of. He's really Alfred Hitchcock inside of that.
Uh-huh. Well,
he's on some stilts.
He is indeed. But Morgana, Ari, Callista, the overall bans from TSM Darkness, removing a little bit from every single lane to a certain extent. CLG Black getting Big Ol' Ron's Aurelia away, but plenty more he can play, of course.
Is it Big Ol' Ron's or is it Teaser's Aurelia that they're afraid of? That's what they played against yesterday, and he had an amazing performance, 10-4 and 10 on that champion. So this last ban, I would assume it would be Lissandra, but they're going to go with the Jarvan there and take another jungler away from Azingi.
All right, so twice in a row now, Azingi loses his Fiddlesticks and his Jarvan. They decided the Pantheon ban wasn't worth it. I agree. I'm surprised that CLG Black had banned that in their game 1 of the series that started yesterday. Kassadin first pick, though, is going to come in for TSD. CLG Black already know they want Vi and Lissandra.
Yeah, they want to go with a dive composition here. They want to get to that back line. They struggled yesterday with getting to Arc second when he was on a Xerath. This is a flex pick for the top lane. This could be a Kassadin that goes up there, or they could wait and lock in something like a Xerath for Arc second here. Either way, they're going to have ways to get to this Kassadin, whether he likes it or not.
Well, Siverjana picked up right away. We saw that lane comp many times. We saw it earlier today by Fusion, and they won their lane, and they won the game pretty handedly here. And being Sivir against Vi tends to make you happy. You can easily spell shield the ulti, and Kassadin also a great Zhonya's champion. There's actually no great targets for Think Cards Vi so far in Champ Select.
Yeah, the Kassadin will drag him backwards. Maybe you can go for the Janna. We saw Trashy do it. It's not ideal.
No.
Really, it's always usually a bad idea to go for the Janna because you end up behind him.
Yeah.
After the assault and battery, and they just R's and they're separated.
Yeah. It's also very telegraphed, meaning you can exhaust pretty cleanly. Like you take damage on the end of the R, so you've got a very big one to be like, yes, I am getting targeted. Yes, okay, I will exhaust you and make sure, and then Vi no longer one-shots you. So life gets easier.
Usually always exhaust.
You got me back. That's fair. Graves and Thresh, though, the pickup. I like this pretty nicely. If you land a hook on Janna, her life is going to be pain. See if CLG can do that. Threshes usually always land hooks, so maybe he's going to have a good time knocking her down.
So I want to see him on this playmaker, though. Thresh is something that he loves in solo queue at the moment because it allows him to make plays. We saw him on a Janna previously. It's not as big of a playmaker. It's a little more subtle behind the scenes type of playmaker. Sometimes you have the flash, like flash shield. Boom, made the play. Great, right? Now he gets to be a little flashier with his engages.
How can he be flashier than Flash Shield? It's already in the name.
Flash hook. Boom.
That's just as flashy.
I know.
It's literally as flashy.
Everybody flashes at the same time, and a hook comes through.
That's very flashy. That's 5 flashes in a row. But Pantheon is looking like the champion that Azingi will play after all, so I guess CLG Black had banned it in game 1 for good reason. We'll have to see how effective that champion is. Gnar on the top lane for Big Ol' Ron does mean it's going to be casted in mid, but CLG Black have the ability to flex pick that Lissandra top or mid themselves and pick the matchup they want.
Yeah, when we saw the Pantheon for Zingy last challenger, didn't fare too well on it. He had, I think, actually a very poor matchup for him. And he had with a terrible KDA. So it's not something that he's seen success on in team play. And Pantheon is not the most meta of junglers at the moment.
Sure.
He's like 4th or 5th down the line. Maybe even a little lower now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even put him that high as far as common picks go. But, I mean, that's what I will always say about meta picks, though, is it's always changing.
Yep.
Janna wasn't meta till Season 4 Worlds. Then she became the #1 support because people realized that she was good. So you've always got to keep that in mind, that because it's unconventional. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I'm personally, for what it's worth, not a big fan of Pantheon, but we'll see.
It's worth nothing anyway.
Sorry?
Nothing. So we're going to see this last lock-in here. It's going to be the Rumble coming in. So it is going to be a mid lane Lissandra.
Okay.
For easy.
So that is our second Lissandra vs. Cassidy matchup of the night as well. We're seeing a lot of deja vu in the team comps today. A lot of team fight power for CLG Black. A lot of upfront burst. Rumble, Lissandra, Vi, Graves can really knock people down. Thresh there for some extra pick power as well.
Yep. It is the pick mid-game fight team composition here for CLG Black. They want to get out of the laning phase with a slight lead, get towards those team fights, and just destroy them. TSM Darkness, on the other hand, they're a little all over the place.
They got the ability to pick fights real well.
Yeah, they can pick their fight, but you have to make sure that Zingy is ulting in the right place.
It's interesting because there's multiple sort of short windows. So the whole Kassadin, Sivir, Janna thing means we can pick to go in, pick to go out pretty cleanly. But of course, Gnar has windows of opportunity, right? Big Gnar, little Gnar getting tired, that matters a whole lot. If you do see it coming, though, you can follow up on Pantheon so easily.
Yes.
Pantheon, as long as you aim it fairly well, you have a pretty reliable slow, a pretty reliable engage, because you can funnel them into the right spot. And then Gnar follows up, Sivir ult follows up, right? Like, the fights can start very explosively. Both these teams have pretty good ways of engaging, so it leads me to believe that vision control means more than the typical game, because you can explode people.
Yep, but that's usually where Zingy thrives. So we're going to have to see if CLG Black can be on top of their vision control this game. Because I usually chalk it up to Zingy being on top of it.
Yeah, or we'll see if TSM can live up to their name and create darkness.
Or it'll be
Without
CLG
not.
Black making all of the map exactly that.
It's kind of gray in Fog of War.
But it's black.
It's not, though.
It's a shade of black.
That's not a thing.
It's like 50 of them in this map.
Welcome to Sunny.
Happy Valentine's Day, guys.
It's actually Chinese New Year. So happy Chinese New Year.
true.
Valentine's Day. 4 days later, happy Valentine's Day. You walk in with some chocolates. What? I didn't forget.
I was better than that. My chocolates came on time.
Oh.
Thank you, 2-day shipping from Amazon.
Challenger Series brought to you by... No.
Our friends at Buying Chocolate for Valentine's Day. CLG Black, ICanEU, though, on top of a ward, goes for his own little aggressive ward. Indivisible, though, starting the game with some bonus cash dollars. Oh,
Yes.
right, yeah, it's Blood Moon Thresh. He's got, like, that cool sound
It's
when
like
he recalls.
some kabuki theater up in that bush.
Mm-hmm. Next time a Thresh recalls, I want to hear the whole recall animation. Dear observers, please, thank you. And next time Lulu Wave clears, you know what to do.
You will be receiving a box of chocolates from Freak
Got
in
some-
2 days.
It's definitely not happening. No more chocolates for a year.
For a year. Oh, man. What about Halloween?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's different types of candy that come out for Halloween.
Instead of chocolates? You go with
Yeah, it's not like pure chocolates, right?
just
You get like things with nuts in them. and stuff.
caramelized sugar.
Yeah. All right, 155. Jungle has spawned a Zingy on Pantheon, starting top side. Think Card also top side with Vi. Lane swap situation. Now, TSD are going to do the Krugs in the bottom side, whereas the Freeze is starting for CLG Black. So, very different openings. Want to see how they go.
Yep, and look at that, though. Stixay pushing the top lane. So ICanEU gets to bully a Zingy out in his own jungle.
That's very smart. You can see how far back Big Ol' Ron is playing right now, though Gnar, one of the safer 1v1s, but with Kenny threatening coming back in, it does force Gnar back. It is a freeze, by the way, so very little is going to be gained by Big Ol' Ron in this lane. So far, wow, that was slick.
But that's the thing, is that's going to cause the wave to push even more towards Stixxay.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much golden XP can you acquire and what are you willing to give away. His trinket is back up, meaning he could spot Thresh roaming around. Zingy will be safely grabbing his own red. I think his blue is not being stolen just yet by ThinkCard.
No, it's completely safe.
I think there was a chance for a 3 buff, though.
Yeah, Kenny didn't ward it. Kenny didn't do anything to it. He just pushed him away and made sure that Zingy wasn't going to do that blue. So Pantheon, not as happy as he could be. And it'll also make it so that he can't have that first gank because he won't have a full rotation available in his spells. They do see Indivisible has rotated up to the top wave.
You can see, yeah, he puts a bot ward, or sorry, a purchased ward into that top lane Tri-Brush, so we'll be able to watch a lot of the potential ganks by ThinkCard. In fact, that ward right there on the river is going to see that he took the Scuttler in the mid lane. They know he's topside, which means they know Sivir is safe, and they're going to have Pantheon come in and, being on the sort of strong side of the map, is able to steal away the blue buff. So good wards by Indivisible, I believe, to make that blue buff steal possible.
Yeah, they also know that Zingy is there because he walked through those river wards. So they have the information here. Can't really do anything about it from Westrice's side. He's still underneath his turret, just kind of relegated to farming.
You know what's crazy is the reason he's even able to steal away from Westrice is because this lane is pushed by Teaser. Westrice cannot give away this level in a half worth of experience. If it were frozen, he'd contest blue buff and he'd screw up his Zingy.
You'd walk straight up there, but it's on Teaser to shove that wave up and keep the pressure on.
So you're seeing a lot of things that... This is one of the things that really interests me about League of Legends, is you see things sort of passive, right? Like, Zingy is allowed to take this buff, whatever, but the reason no one's trying is because of another play his team made that results in inaction. It's
a microcosm with like a weird butterfly effect.
Exactly, yeah.
Where it's like, I took one minion in this wave, and then the minion slowly, over time, shoves out. And you're just like, wow.
Which means something else must be done.
1 minute later, that wave is something you have to deal with, right?
Yep.
So those types of things, somebody shoving their attention is on that person. Just really interesting to watch.
This is actually one of the more decent 2-on-2s. We talked about this in the previous game about 2-on-2s that are good, 2-on-2s that are bad. Having an AD top laner to put Janna with, much better than someone like a Vladimir. So these guys are actually able to fight back. You're seeing Big Ol' Ron actually holding a minion lead over Westrice because of the fact that he's able to sit in this lane. And I do expect him to actually be able to hold decently this sort of newfound TSD duo lane.
Didn't clear it. So ThinkCard will actually get the timer on both blues. See if that ends up with anything for them.
Zingy clears his own. Says, okay, yep, my blue is gone after all.
Yeah,
I do expect it.
These junglers are farming in this 2-on-2 more so than trying to affect the side waves, because nothing's really getting pushed in that they could capitalize off of without ward coverage. Whereas if you watch it like NME, you see the ward coverage there was not good, and then they were able to capitalize on it. So Zingy...
Actually, the crazy thing is, ThinkCard had the chance of actually ganking Sivir. They pinged out where his ward was, that he had put it down in the river brush, but Vi could have jumped over Dragon Wall, gotten behind Sivir unseen, and made a play for it.
Speaking of getting there unseen, both junglers.
Easy flashes out, puts the Q into Arc Second, Ignite is on him as well. ThinkCard really wants his fight, but now Zingy's got to be careful. Level 6 by Easy means first blood goes through to ThinkCard. In come the teleports, but very late.
Ooh.
And they get canceled.
He canceled it, and then the other top laner had to cancel his own, so Big Ol' Ron was already coming in, and Westrice wanted to answer but stopped it.
The thing is, those TPs were so late, there was no reason to even start yours at that point. No kill is going to happen. Kenny actually going to stop Arc Seconds back, meaning a whole buttload of golden XP lost by this Kassadin.
And damage on the turret.
Yeah, ThinkCard's just staying to shove wave after wave in. Even though he's sharing XP with Easy, kind of slowing down Lissandra's level ups, it is going to make sure a lot gets denied away from Kassadin.
In CLG Black, they had an advantage yesterday very early on. Ooh, snatches them out of the air.
What a good hook into play, but Big Ol' Ron can land the stun, but Ignite comes in, forced to flash away.
So they get the flash for the Ignite, and now ThinkCard though.
Flash Q! Wow, ThinkCard predicts where he's going to be and gets it right.
Wow, blowing his flash for that and going straight into him. ThinkCard is causing a lot of pressure on this map. He has all the kills. So.
And now what can Vi do with these kills? Because he's still not level 6 just yet, but he's scaling up quite nicely. He's got to be close at this point. And level 6 Vi ganks are plenty scary.
Yeah, and it's keeping a Zingy down as well, right? Zingy had to take a little bit of a slower route. He got killed in the mid lane, whereas ThinkCard was still making plays on the map.
Yeah. Really well done by him, and I actually like his choice of items here. He had initially bought double longsword and said, never mind, I want boots and a sight stone. So he's cashing in his gold lead into ward control, into just strangling TSM and saying, who's going to be darkness here?
Wow, that's pretty dark.
I mean, I guess they're really...
Good night.
I mean, how else are you going to counter darkness but by creating vision?
I guess, okay.
He's
thought it was
item building against the team name.
Okay.
It's a hard counter.
I thought it was like he's strangling them and all they're going to see is darkness.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow.
That's also a good one.
Oh.
ThinkCard is pretty goth.
His ThinkCard is like, good night, Zingy.
Oh my gosh.
Sleep well. As he closes his eyelids.
Darkness does help you sleep, so I mean...
I guess so. Maybe he's just turning off the light, giving him a kiss goodnight.
Sure, why not?
It just got really friendly up in this match.
He's not playing Ari. Or a Mumu. Mumu would be happy with that.
Amumu would be really happy.
Just hugs. All right. Ward battle. Westrise wins it with a flamethrower. Somehow doesn't damage the brush. So flame retardant brush in League of Legends confirmed. Big ol' Ron about to pop the passive is level 6, but in one-on-one, not much to do.
It's like flammable and inflammable are the same thing.
True. What was that in reference to, by the way?
I was just thinking of the flame retardant brush.
Great. Thank you for the...
It's both inflammable and flammable.
No, it's non-flammable.
It's inflammable.
Nope.
Non-flammable.
There you go. Come on, Aiden.
Yeah, no.
Learn English.
But it should be flammable and inflammable.
Not necessarily.
Class.
Then certain skins would have like more power than others.
Oh, speaking of
Oh.
flammable. Boom.
6. No, not how that works. Ward though, Zingy, ooh, he misses the Vault Breaker. Out goes ThinkCard.
You really
But they
rely
do
on that
have-
upfront damage on
Yeah,
buy.
you do. Especially when you max Vault Breaker. If you don't land that, your damage goes nowhere. Zingy is on top of a ward. He wants to pull this blue buff out, but he's got to get his mid laner over to this one. Problem is the pressure advantage
Shoved.
is there for CLB. Exactly means they get to go in and push for this blue buff.
Yep, it's shoved top, it's shoved mid. They can't get this blue buff, and they have to hand it over. And that's what I said early on. They have both blue buff timers. So I wanted to see what ThinkCard does with it, and he presses that advantage immediately, and they set up for it. Because Zingy doesn't have CLB's blue buff timer. He left it up, and then it got cleared way later.
The problem is their dual lane's not really ahead either. I suppose it's a bit of a wash if you just wave clear over and over with Janna Saver. There's actually no way for Graves Thresh to stop that. And so if the timer were inferred in some way, TSD probably could make a play for it. Because of their bot lane pressure advantage they could have. But not the case right now. Teaser level 8 indivisible, only level 5 here. And the bot lane will just hold pretty equal. Close in CS, very close in items as well. And ThinkCard wants to make a play.
Here's the thing, though, is this is that lane that you were talking about. It's very hard to gank.
Flash
Go for
hook,
it.
Lantern comes in, immediate flash by Indivisible, but ThinkCard could, nope, cues the waves.
It's hard to gank that lane, but Indivisible doesn't have his ultimate just yet, and he wanted to capitalize on that, seeing that he wasn't 6.
Yeah, so flash for flash of the supports. That does show where ThinkCard is. He wants this blue buff here. Hold on. He's got to be careful because Arc second and Easy are getting into a bit of a battle, and Zingy's nearby. Hook's going to come out, does not quite land.
The ward coverage coming down from that early sight stone from ThinkCard. Doesn't even have his Warrior's Enchant done, so his damage output is lower than his Zingy's, but he's still providing vision for his team, allowing them to get more objectives. As the shot caller, if you're the one setting up the vision, you know exactly where you want it.
Where you want to make the plays. So, we'll see if those plays end up getting made. Stick stays back, don't worry.
Ah, thank you for telling me that. I was really worried.
We do cast Challenger games slightly in the past, so these pauses for DCs often get scrubbed out before they actually get aired. CLG Black holding a 1,000 gold lead due to some very good ganks and counter ganks by ThinkCard. The lane's still holding pretty close to equal, though. You're within 10 CS in every lane. I guess 11 mid right now, but that's essentially 10. And it's just a holding pattern here. CLG Black don't seem like they have the push lead either. But ThinkCard with the Sightstone still happy to look for wards. Problem is he's about to face check into Indivisible. This could be a numbers lead for TSM Darkness, but they don't go for the fight.
Nope, still afraid of that early lead on ThinkCard. He finally got himself some long swords. Still no warrior enchant. Has basically all the map tools that you would want as a jungler. He got the boots over his opponent.
Oh, looks to make the play. Ults and Indivisible. The hook is going to not land, though. Indivisible happy to get
Stalling for Zingy.
Oh, wanted to ult to stop the lantern from happening. Clipped it too slowly. Pantheon didn't come in time. That's 2 ults down.
2 ults down right before the dragon is on the board. Those are 2 really big ultimates as well. The FLICKR doesn't have his big engage tool available, so they'd have to rely on easy in a fight. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon now. Kind of dissuades it.
They're going for ward control right now, though. CLG Black happy to play rather aggressive on this one. I want to see if they go for the dragon attempt based off of Big Ol' Ron getting tired. He's about to pop the passive. And after that happens, I want to see if they do force the double teleport and make Mininar not do much.
They're going for it right now. There is a ward in that pit, so they know what's going on.
This is a very large risk for CLG Black. They've recalled Westrice. He's going to be able to buy close to Haunting Guys, I think, or Sork Shoes, and maybe make his way down. Mega Gnar is up, and it's about to time out, so he's going to be without that for at least 20 seconds.
Here's the thing, is Westrice backed and purchased, so he is stronger right now, so if the TP fight happens in the next couple of seconds, he's going to get there first, and he's going to get there with more gold in combat stats.
But they're not looking to force the dragon. They send Westrice back to top lane, not to run down towards drag. So he's going to hold the line here.
Doesn't punish Big Ol' Ron for that. Big Ol' Ron shoves the wave into the turret. Now he gets to back and get on Westrice's level and actually back with more gold to spend.
This is interesting. Big Ol' Ron going for a very damage-heavy build, though. He rushed Brutalizer first. Actually bought a Doran's Blade just now, and Hextrigger to fight Westrice. Easy, though, going for the roam, but the Tribe Rush is warded. They see this coming, but it's still a 4-on-2.
This is 4 people in this bottom lane. Zingy doesn't have his Grand Skyfall available. They have to seed this turret.
Very nicely done. They had recalled their own dual lane 6A with Zerk Greaves and an extra pickaxe to his name. They will knock the turret down. They should clear this wave pretty safely. And that will create a bit of minion pressure that might require TSM Darkness to play defensively.
They're collapsing around this mid lane, though. ArcSecond has to shove this out. Westrice is just getting some deeper ward vision so they can keep eyes on a Zingy.
That's going to be a good thing, but of course Grand Skyfall can dodge most wards here. But once again, they try for this attempt. The dual lane is down in Tri-Brush, but isolated from the rest of the team. Cassidy and Pantheon are on the other side, and that's going to be good smite in time. Boomerang Blade nearly stole it, but didn't. First Dragon goes to CLB pretty safely.
And they don't give anything up for it, right? ArcSecond immediately goes to try and shove middle, but he wasn't already doing that. So CLB Easy is already there.
Well, attempted fight by Big Ol' Ron, pops the ult, lands a fair bit of damage on a Westrice, but looks like he's not really going to gain more than just damage for it. But hey, that's not a bad thing. You're seeing a style, though. He really wants to bully the lane out, right? Pops the ult, pops his cooldowns just to deal damage. Knowing that Dragon's down, there's not much to team fight for, so you're seeing, again, why that was done as part of the trade. And building 3 attack damage items in his lane means he's going to have good burst when he does go for those fights.
Yep. Once again, the blue is up. They have the timer for it on CLB. Zingy already smited this.
I don't know. This is a bit of a risk, though. They know that their Rumble is very low on health. That blue does go to ArcSecond. CLG Black, they do own the rotate back out. They can shove mid lane in, but without Rumble able to fight easily, they make the smart move and don't go in.
Zingy looking for a jump, going to the top lane.
Janna's up there as well. He's well behind Westrice. He's going to flash down towards the river, but he's right on top of Indivisible, which means here comes Pantheon, here comes Exhaust, and there's the kill picked up by Zingy. But mid lane got pushed that in that same time. They trade a kill for a turret.
Immediately a counter push coming in from CLG Black. Look at this. Janna looked like he wanted to back there, but instead he's going to ward this up, make sure that they can get some damage on this turret, but I don't even think they're going to get rewarded with this turret. They're going to get collapsed on before then.
They are, but the question is how can they survive this?
They have the ultimate still.
Is up.
Both
cards is too. This is pretty dangerous. They look for Big Ol' Ron. He's almost Mega Gnar, though. Can they lock him up enough, though? Looks like there was not enough damage thanks to Indivisible's ulti.
Oh,
the hook lands. He's Mega Gnar, though. Can he transform? Yes. Gets the stun. The box comes out, though, which means the damage is still going to be there. Easy gets the kill credit. CLG Black up 3-1.
And they're going to be able to apply some damage onto this top lane turret. It's already half HP. They're going to get another one.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that. ArcSecond is here. Not much wave crew. And actually, they do give him the respect of being a cast with the Rod of Ages under a turret. And it will not quite go down.
They don't go over greedy for the turret. Very, very low, though. But CLG Black, they're getting a lot for tiny trades. Like TSM Darkness are going for these like these plays that aren't working out for them, and CLG Black are punishing those. You go top, you get a kill, it's okay. We get a turret, you don't get a turret, and then we come in, collapse, and get a kill ourselves. Like, they're just getting the better end of all of these traits that are happening across the map.
It looks like CLB are the ones dictating the pace. I expect their AD carry and support to go top lane after they had shoved down mid here. They've already taken down bottom outer turret. They've taken down mid outer turret. Now take your fed AD carry and put him to another outer turret to kill against especially a wave clueless Kassadin. Should be actually pretty easy pickings, and it's going to force a lot of reaction from TSM Darkness.
TSM Darkness don't have a whole lot of wave clear to deal with sieges. They have to put as many people up here as possible. It's a 4-on-4.
This is interesting. So Sivir holds mid. It's gonna require a reaction, or mid lane outer turret's gonna die to just Sivir. You're seeing CLB almost allocating too many resources. Lissandra probably should have stayed mid the whole time, and they should have kept the dedicated siege with the Graves. Mid lane, just the wave crashed in the turret for nothing. The siege doesn't do a lick of damage.
Westrice is trying to pull somebody bottom because he has his TP available, and that he can make a play when a fight does break out.
Right.
Because if Sivir had to rotate down bottom, it means that he can TP top for a 5-on-4. So now they have to recall Big Ol' Ron and send him to deal with that wave crashing against that turret.
Okay, so CLB finally getting a holding pattern, a 1-3-1 if you will, with the support and jungle roaming around the mid lane as Graves holds the line. Top lane finally did get pushed in by Easy. He was the guy that made that go down. Of course, it was a very injured turret, so 3-0 on turret score. 1-0 on Dragons.
They're looking for the pick here. They see that the red buff is up. They aren't going to get anything for it.
So roll pop
goes in.
They want this fight. Kenny and Stixley got to be careful. Box comes down, but Kenny's got nowhere to go. He is well overextended and a good fight started. Now CLB though, maybe on the wrong side of this fight. A big burst comes out. They don't quite kill Teaser. Janna ult saves, but Azingi will go down thanks to Easy and Westrice. Stixley now getting hit by a Big Ol' Ron. Indivisible still around in this one. Stixley forced to flash out. ThinkCard goes down to Teaser, and this is now a pretty bloody fight as TSM Darkness pick up a whole bunch of cleans. 4-1 in that battle.
All of the kills falling over to ArcSecond as well. This Kassadin, he wasn't having the best early game. He was basically just sticking around being a Kassadin. And now, he's way off the ground.
Massive mispositioning by CLG Black. Their support got picked off, and they chose to fight the 4v5 anyway. And my god, did they get destroyed.
It was extremely split. You saw ThinkCard is sitting in this bottom brush, trying to look for a pick. Instead, 4 members collapse on 2 here, and then they run up with Big Ol' Ron behind them. They are pinched in here, and they have to make a play, and they go on Teaser. Teaser flashes, spell shields, and then he gets Janna ultied, and he gets the heal on himself. He's out of range. ThinkCard has to turn around, and he ends up hitting hitting Indivisible, and it's just
could have gone for Teaser.
Whale off fight there. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't go for Teaser to extend. He instead turns and tries to go back into the fight or to get out, and he just hits the Janna.
That was so weird though. Sivir had spell shield, flash, and ult down. That was actually the kind of fight you want as Vi. ThinkCard chose an interesting target. So great pick by TSM though. Is Zingy getting hooked in? Not too much.
At that point though, it was really on the fact that they got collapsed on. Azingi went for the engage, and ThinkCard and Westrice were on a different page. They were camping a bush, trying to make a death brush, and then Zingi's a Pantheon out of nowhere makes an engage happen.
Now 1, 2, and 3 so far after a rough early game has done very good things later on.
And they're going for another death brush here from CLGB. ArcSecond already Riftwalk.
A lot of early damage. Actually kind of a miscommunicated engage, but they will jump in, and Teaser goes down first as Zingy follows a lot of kills right in a row thanks to Graves and Rumble. ArcSecond's got nowhere to go. He's going to try to run out, gets slowed. That's going to be 4 kills, I believe, so far this fight. Big Ol' Ron going to be the 4th death. Actually, I take that back as ArcSecond did get out. I don't know if you really even want to bother here, Westrice.
ArcSecond, he doesn't have a lot of options available. Kassadin's great journey.
How long is he going to survive?
He's probably going to get out. Nobody's really gunning for him.
Yeah, that TP was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But CLG Black, the Death Brush worked out. They baited the Dragon Face check and got a 4 for 0 and the Dragon off of it.
That's when you get everybody on the same page of we're going to Death Brush, and watch Kenny's hook here onto Teaser, makes this fight. Straight through, no spell shield up, pulled against the wall, and Teaser doesn't have anything to say about this. Immediately picked off, and everybody tries to collapse to help him on top of the Rumble ultimate. It's a really well-placed ultimate there by Westrice.
Yeah. And I gotta say, really happy and good things about Stixley's positioning. The Death Brush happened, and he immediately dashed away. He's like, they're going to engage in this. I need to get out of range. And even though Azingi landed the stun, no one could follow up on him until 3 members were already dead. So very smart by Stixxay, knowing his positioning was important, even though he had to be part of the death rush in the first place.
Yep. Knew that he was priority target, that he had to get out of the way. But man, that hook from IKNU from inside the pit onto Teaser.
Yeah.
And the equalizer, really. It was just a great setup there from CLG Black. TSM went in without the vision, and it cost them. Like you said, vision is extremely important in this game.
Great patience by CLG Black to make that happen. And now they sit on a 4,500 gold lead. ArcSecond slowly killing that blue buff. Took him a good ArcSecond to kill that.
Here's the thing, too, is they had no business checking those brush. They got overly confident because they won the previous fight. They could have shoved middle.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they didn't have any business contesting the Dragon, then going over there. They could have just left CLGB. Even if they were going to go rotate and shove bottom, you have enough time because you don't have a tier 1 turret.
CLG Black, though, continuing to hold the vision game because of how well they're going with the double side. So when re-engage happens, so Easy's got to be careful. Equalizer comes down, but doesn't do really enough. Westerice split off from the team, slowed down by Kassadin, and that is a kill for big ol' Ron. Graves nowhere to be seen in that fight, means nothing happens for CLG Black.
And I watched the game yesterday, and CLG Black had an early game lead, and the way that they started losing was desperation plays for Barons and things like that, and they were getting picked off by TSM Darkness. Azingi, he starts going for really weird fights. You start getting picked off in brush. It's kind of like a couple seasons ago when Fnatic was the only team that would sit in brush, and it was like, you have to play against this team to understand what they do. That seems to be what TSM Darkness pull out sometimes as well, is they're just, whoa, they're going to engage us here? That's really strange. Like, no other team would jump on a team that behind in a 5-on-5 straight up. They did see Stixxay down bottom, and they took the opportunity, so Azingi is always going to jump on those.
Well, thankfully for TSM, though, their ability to get that one pick turns into a lot more. They're going to get top outer turret for that one. Teaser getting a bit more split push farm himself, and he's trying to get a little bit more crit for himself. So TSM catching up a little bit here, down 3,000 gold.
And they have a lot of ways back in, too, right? Because they have ArcSecond as a Kassadin scaling extraordinarily well, and all of the gold is really allocated onto him. And they do have the Sivir, they have the Janna, they get to pick their fights.
It's a pretty well-rounded team composition. They have a dedicated support. They have enough damage on Sivir. She is going for that fan advance, so she's actually going to do pretty decent single target damage as long as she's not overly threatened by Kassadin and Rumble. That's always the downfall of Sivir, is does she have the auto attack uptime? And if basically this Gnar and this Kassadin create enough pressure that she does, then Sivir gets to be a late game carry as Teaser is getting a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, and he has the spell shield, right? The 2 dives on him from CLGB, Easy and ThinkCard, they're going to have to think about that spell shield while it's up. They can throw both on him. Teaser can only get 1, but if they're both coordinated, they could be able to take him out.
And that's up to Janna.
Yep, exactly. You have to think about that Janna at the same time. They can disengage it, and it's just a really big boon for them. But look at this, CLGB going back to a death brush. Azingi's going to ward it.
Azingi wards
It's a party
the
in
wall.
there.
Easy wants a fight, but the tornado by Indivisible stops them in their tracks.
The clown car bush.
Yep.
He's just like, hey, what's up? Whoa! 5 people fit in that thing.
Oh, more than 5 fit in that thing. Let's be real.
It gets really cozy very quickly.
It's fine. Cozy's nice.
Oh, speaking of
Oh,
cozy.
wow, they reward the same place, and this time they get the catch. Azingi trying to live, but Avai ulti says no. Kenny somehow takes the kill credit. He's got 2 somehow.
Scene of the crime.
They just go back.
Back to the bush. You know you have the ward coverage. They're like, oh, they could be doing Baron right now. What's going on? Here's the thing. It's a 4-on-5.
Flash W, and then in comes the ult onto ArcSecond. He's got a Zonies, but he goes down too fast. Couldn't pop it in time. Out goes Big ol' Ron and Teaser.
And back to the brush.
This time they
But through the brush.
Baron. Yeah, they get straight Baron here.
They're going to go straight for the Baron. Oh, wait. No.
Clear that. And they can get Scuttler. Now, they have complete darkness from TSM here. They're going to give up control and just go for the recall.
Here's the thing. They've scarred him enough. You don't want to face check into there. You want to clear this wave. Teaser might even just back off, but we'll see. He's going to risk it.
He expects that they recalled. He's right about this one.
Or they're doing Baron. One of the two.
He saw Graves top.
Yeah.
That would be one of the sickest baits ever if you send your AD carry top lane and you slowly burn it down with Rumble Vi, but Now that I think you actually might lose to Baron because they're fairly low on health already.
It's true.
TSM Darkness, though, really quick to react to this and say, guys, let's check the blue and let's check everything else on the map we can. They all recalled, get what you can here.
Oh,
They managed to steal the blue.
Dragon in 10 seconds. It's the objective that's more readily available to these two teams.
Bot lane, big wave going to be cleared out by Arc second pretty cleanly, and he can easily rejoin his team, so it looks like Dragon will not create any immediate advantages in positioning. CLG Black, though, the first to the scene at this point, and they get pink ward control, and they actually start Dragon riskily.
Azingi,
He's ulting in. Maybe
Nope.
he was, he can't.
he stopped it.
Rumble ulti used to zone them out, and the Dragon is picked up quickly by CLG Black. So I take back what I said about positioning. CLB not showing any hesitation, they grab it.
But it's only a 3K gold difference now between these teams. Despite all those picks, TSD don't let the lead get away from them, and they still hold it really close. It's just these Dragons, for the most part, that are separating these two teams.
Well, keep in mind, in 12 minutes, Dragon 5 could happen. And that could make CLG Black have a really big lead that's hard to measure in just gold.
Yep.
TSM, though, for the first time, starting to get a couple of deep wards down. They finally took down 2 outer turrets here. And now they're starting to ward up the opposing red buff in that north jungle as a result. CLB forced to put very defensive wards into the Baron pit because of this.
CLB really just controlled this side of the map, and they have for the last 5 or 6 minutes. It's just TSD are putting a little more priority on the Dragon, but they're still not getting it.
Nothing quite gained by CLB anymore. Blue buff goes to Arc second. Both blues actually stolen by TSM Darkness. Good for them. Teaser holds 1. It's about the timeout though. CLB back to the Death Brush strategy. They still own Baron Vision. They actually managed to sweep the Baron Vision out just in the last minute or so.
I mean,
And they now know it's Fog of War.
that pink ward in that brush has done worlds for them. It's gotten them about 1,000 gold off of kills and assists and just killing other wards. That is a very worth ward at that point. And I mean, it works for them, right? If you get the Death Brush, keep doing the Death Brush. The other team's going to keep falling for it.
Teaser, though, is showing top lane, maybe in time to defend this turret. It's going to be close. Stixxay with the red elixir just pushing for this. Janna Shield comes in, and the TP for Big Ol' Ron wants to guarantee this turret does not go down, and it does not quite land the hook. But again, ward control completely taken in this western jungle. They can grab Scuttle Crab, they can clear that ward that just got put down and those brushes as well. CLB looking for a death cliff this time around, but I want to see that ward right there does see that they did this. CLG Black actually, I believe, ran out of Sightstone wards. Oh, I guess they just, yeah, they don't have wards to see over the wall anymore, so they don't know exactly what is up. Easy jumps over. Can't find an invisible.
CLG Black control all this vision, and they're looking for those picks. It's worked a couple times. They want to get more of the same. Because it's, once again, now only a 2K gold difference between these two teams.
But keep in mind that the decision-making is so much easier for CLG Black because of the vision.
Yep.
At some point, TSM Darkness are likely to misstep. Thresh and Lissandra play zoning duty to keep the team away. Baron is a very real objective for CLG Black right now, and in fact, going to come back in, down to about 3,000 health. This will not be contested because how many times could TSM Darkness really guess correctly? There it is, picked up. Now will they engage? Pantheon wants in, and they're going to go for this fight against the all the ultis, the Rumble ulti in as well. A lot of burst. Westrise goes down, but Azingi trades his life. Kenny on the side getting hit by Teaser, but a wall will stop him for a short time. Stixxay forced to jump out 1-for-1 this fight so far, but can they really disengage? Big Ol' Ron is almost Big Ol' Gnar. They're going to jump in, forcing the flash hook on Arc second. Don't re-engage those CLG Black. You've got to be afraid for the counter-engage damage. And it's going to be just a trade of ultis. 1-for-1 plus Baron.
Now, Westrise didn't even get to use his Zhonya's Hourglass. He just got popped by the return of the Boomerang Blade. They did get the Baron for themselves and jumped up another 1,000 gold for CLGB. But you have to think about what is TSD going to get off of this.
Well, empowered recall means not much. Teaser is overextended, gets ulti, gets Lissandra's really misplayed there by Teaser, but gets some counter-engage damage. They might get Think Card. It's close. The hook doesn't quite land, but here's the teleport from Westrise. Teaser will die. Arc second. He's in a bad spot. His Zhonya's is down, but he can Rift Walk away. Now Indivisible is the target. The flash in by Westrise. Who can they slow? It's going to be more flashes out by TSD. They will only gain the 1 kill, but it's now CLB with map control.
Yep, exactly. They get to press up this mid lane, and they have the Baron buff to tank this turret. Stixxay is going to just shred this very quickly, and they might even get 2.
They do not have Vibe, so it is a 4-on-4 in the map. ArcSecond heals pretty quickly with Home Guard boots. And he's going to make his way back towards the mid lane. How much will CLG Black gain? Looks like it might be the entire turret. They don't feel like they are overstaying. Baron buff minions are nice and strong. Azingi has ulti in about 3 seconds. Can they re-engage in time? Big ol' Ron still has ulti. There's the Rumble. Equalizer easy. Still alive in the back lines. They re-engage toward Azingi. A lot of damage to the Pantheon. He's going to go down. Now Big ol' Ron hit up, runs away. Inhibitor picked up. CLB getting another pick.
Kenny's having really good hooks this game. All these team fights, a lot of the picks are happening off of Kenny landing those hooks. So really good job by him this game on that support role.
Support role, he's got the most kills in his team.
Yeah, not
he's
disappointing
carrying.
at all.
Typical top laner. All the kills.
Stealing all the kills.
Darn right. Highest kill participation as well. Tied with the top laner and the jungler of his same team. CLG Black looking much better than they were yesterday. Keeping the objective control pretty tight. The Baron play was definitely quite slick. They just kept playing Fog of War until they finally forced a misstep by TSM Darkness. You can't guess right forever. They managed to escape the counter engage. When they got jumped on by Sivir Pantheon, I was pretty afraid for CLG Black, but they got in a 1-for-1.
I like their pick ban strategy too, going back to it for CLG Black. They ended up banning 2 junglers, Jarvan and Fiddlesticks, and then picking Vi, what they saw Zingy on yesterday, and leaving the Pantheon open. They weren't afraid of it. You can see why. This is very reminiscent of the Pantheon that he showed us previously when he was in Challenger.
Yeah. Death Cliff by CLG Black. I dare you to get a ward onto Dragon. They know it's all been swept out, and they have these 2 green wards to make sure they're not getting jumped on, and they can get the picks. No attempt by TSM Darkness. Means Dragon number 4 for CLG Black.
It's a great way to play the pick comp. 40 minutes would be the threat of the 5th Dragon. ArcSecond's bottom. They see the sweepers coming out though.
It's Kassadin, out he goes. But now this jungle is controlled. This bot lane tier 2 likely to be an easy target for CLGB, though the rest of TSM are around to defend. But still a lot of work being done by Stixxay here.
They just shove them off the turret. And yeah, Stixxay doing a ton of damage to these turrets. Teaser is not part of these fights. He's shoving waves. He has to shove that mid wave up because of the fact of the super minions. So he can't, I mean, it's really great by CLG Black to know where they can press their advantages and when to bait. Yeah, they're playing really good pick.
Once they got the lead, CLG Black largely played well. Once they kind of like fell into the pattern they needed to do. The vision control was largely uncontested. They got to keep Baron control the entire game. It never fell away from them. And then just over and over and over and over again, just played Death Cliff or Death Brush until they got the objectives they desired. When they didn't have that gigantic lead though, when they were only like 2,000-3,000 gold up early game, it was a bit more wishy-washy. Even though they had early sight stood, even though they should have had the wards, they still got picked on a couple times by TSM Darkness. The first 15 to 20 minutes, I think, still needs to be shored up by CLG Black, but the rest of this game has been really clean.
Nope. Try and think hard in the brush, but they're doing, like you said, a really good job of controlling the vision. Back to top lane here. They have the mid lane shoving. The CLG Black, if they're looking for picks in these spots, I don't think TSM Darkness are actually going to shove up that far for a while. Oh man, they're going to go.
ArcSecond takes a bit of damage, pops the Zhonya's out goes Stixxay. They will be okay against the Zingy ulti, but Easy's got to be a bit careful. Stunned against the wall, no follow-up damage, pops the Zhonya's and stays alive. 2 kills, 3 kills in a row for Westrise, and now comes the engage. Indivisible about to be divided. Stixxay can't quite catch him up though, and out goes the rest of TSM Darkness. But by the way, mid lane inhibitor is dead, and the team runs for it now, using their power of champions to push down maybe for the Nexus.
They already have those second dragon working in their favor. They can go for these turrets. They still have Stixxay.
Oh yeah. 15 seconds for 3 death timers here. Turret number 2 under fire, 10 seconds on Ozingi. I don't think it's going to be enough. Nexus now available, and this could be GG. CLG Black will tie up the series, and they're going to end the first week at 1-1.
So CLG Black actually showing really good signs of coordination once they got the lead. Yesterday, they were picked off constantly, and instead they turned it around and said, you know what, we're going to play together as a unit, make sure we have no stragglers so we can never be picked off.
Yeah.
That was really good by them. good adaptation. They got the early game lead off of really crisp plays. And then from there, like you said, when they're ahead, they didn't play poorly at all.
No.
They just closed it out pretty methodically.
And they kept their side lanes in good repair, too. Whenever you're playing, like, play the death brush, one of your big Achilles heels is going to be a good split pusher. We actually saw Big Ol' Ron off on the side. He built for the lane. Brutalizer, Hex Drinker, Doran's Blade really wanted to bully Rumble and survive his damage output. And we saw him split pushing a fair bit. We saw 196 CS. Actually ended up being on the lower side because he was forced to react to his team so darn much. But CLG Black played around the Gnar split push. They played around the Caston split push largely very well and didn't let those turn into much. I believe they never lost more than 3 turrets that game and really kept themselves in the running the entire time, where they never got split apart. They were always allowed to play the vision game and always allowed to threaten objectives.
Yeah, the threatening of objectives was really big by CLG Black. They just pushed down waves. TSM Darkness would kind of get signs like, we're going to get this turret, but then CLG Black would be like, nope, you can't get it, and shove them all the way down the wave and get their own.
Yeah.
So they were making trades, but they were always just a step ahead in CLG Black, and they'd get more for what they did.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to go back and watch the last third of that game, because it seemed like TSM Darkness was never able to be like, hey, our 5-0 Kassadin, go push a wave up. You should be able to survive any counter engage. But the vision control never seemed to be there for TSM Darkness to make that safe, to allow them to pressure those points with the advantaged members. And it just let CLG Black play their own game without resistance. I want to see how these guys managed to do that.
A lot of it was the pink ward coverage and the fact that they were sweeping the right places. They decided to dedicate all their vision to the Baron side of the map and just said, we're powerful enough to barrel down inside of Dragon, that ward Baron, sit in Dragon, and that's how you play that, is you just use your bodies as wards, kind of, because you're more powerful. You just sit in Dragon. If they come, you're okay.
Yeah.
You can engage that fight. If they come to Baron and you want to bait there because Dragon isn't up, you have all the ward coverage already. You have all the pinks allocated to deny the vision, so you know that they can't see you. That's what they were doing with the vision control, was pink ward contribution from the team was very high, and they were placing them in good spots, like further back in the bush, so it's not able to be cleared.
Yeah.
And using the denial that way. So I thought that was really brilliant by CLG Black to make that adaptation.
Well, good job by them. CLG Black are going to tie up that series. They are 1-1. So now our final games of Week 1 are in the books. Let's take a look at the Challenger standings overall. Enemy Esports are in sole possession of first place right now at 2-0. After that, CLG Black, Final 5, Team Fusion, and TSM Darkness are all tied at second with 1 win and 1 loss. Meanwhile, unfortunately, TDK are in last alone at 0-2, but every team plays 2 more games next week. 8 matches overall, 8 games total for each team still to play this season, so these standings can, of course, move around.
It's just like the Week 1 of LCS.
Yeah.
One team 2-0, one team 0-2, everybody else in the middle. Yeah,
Be a lot of that.
I know, right? Yeah, the season continues next week when TDK goes up against TSM Darkness. Then Enemy Esports face off with Team Fusion. And we'll wrap things up with Final 5 against CLG Black. It all starts next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
But you will not have to wait that long for more competitive League of Legends, because tomorrow, or if you're in Europe tonight, more or less, the European LCS gets into gear with Rocket against the Copenhagen Wolves. Then it's Elements versus Giants Gaming, and Fnatic going head-to-head with SK Gaming. That broadcast begins 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central European Time. And that's going to be all from us here today at the Challenger Desk. We'd like to say thanks again to our guest, Nian Tonsa, for the interview. Good luck to you guys next week, of course. And on behalf of myself, Zyrene, and the entire live broadcast crew, thanks for watching. GG.
See ya.
Added a flourish there. 6-8 now getting hit by a big ol' Ron. Indivisible still around in this one. 6-8 forced to flash out. FLICKR goes down the teaser. And this is now a pretty bloody fight as TSM Darkness pick up a whole bunch of cleans. But they will jump in, and teaser goes down first as Zingy follows a lot of kills right in a row thanks to Graves and Rumble. Arc Seconds got nowhere to go. All the ultis, the Rumble ulti in as well. A lot of burst. Westrise goes down, but Zingy trades his life. Kenny on the side getting hit by teaser, but a wall will stop him for a short time. 6-8 forced to jump out. They will be okay against the Zingy ulti, but Easy's got to be a bit careful. Stunned against the wall, no follow-up damage, pops the Zonias and stays alive. 2 kills, 3 kills in a row for Westrise.
Yo, man, look at me, man. I got all the jewels. Look at my shoes, man. I'm sharp, man. I look good, I look good, I look exactly the way you wish you could. I I'm in love with a girl that I call old school. Sipping on my brandy, I'm feeling brand new. Got the feather in my hat because I'm just that cool. You peeping at my alligators bent kinda slew. They peeping at me pimping cause I got all the game. And even if the day changed, it's all the same. You rolling up the block, but you in the wrong lane. You hating on a brother, man, you must be insane. I look good. I look good. I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good. I look good. Come on. I look good. I look good. I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good. I look good. Come on. Joe said that I'm the best in the West. I got the girls saying, damn, look at how he dressed. No need to guess, just bless my finesse. I keep him in a mess, all up in this caress. Jeans, fitted, shirt, knitted. Man, she need to quit it, she already did it. She gotta be Latina cause she look mixed with it. She all up on me, so I guess she gonna get it. I look good, I look good. I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good. Come on. I look good, I look good. I look exactly the way you wish you could. I look good, I look good. Come on. Right. Right. Come on. Right. Come on. Right. Come on. I look good. Right.